rich or poor, young or old, struggle. I cause millions of accidents. I have the evil in your bones. I father the lie. Twist what you say. Speak not the truth. I am insidious, impartial, deep inside your chromosomes. I take what you love and leave you in tears. I imprison your soul. Your hopes are my gains. I strip you of pride. My promise is in vain. While you burn at the stake, I dance with the flames. I bring poverty, sickness, and death. A worthless handshake, the slickest thief. I will steal your wealth. I answer your prayers. Greed and lust. More than evil, I laugh at your trust.
In other words, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Fluffenhammer. And yes, that was Dave Mustaine. Peace sells, but Dave's mega. Roll the music.
Every man lives, not every man truly dies.
I know we're perfect strangers, and I'm reaching out to you. We got to be together, but I haven't a clue how we beat up. I could need some of you. Straight up, there is nothing else I'd rather do. Sit tight, you may think it's in vain. We need to get back.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to the Fluffenhammer. I, as always, am Adam, and I am here to hold you by the hand as we skip merrily through this field of fallacious venations and hope desperately that we escape unscathed. I am not alone, as always. My trusty zombie in crime is also with me. Hello, Andy.
Hello. Hello.
Did you just speak in unison with yourself there?
I don't know, did I?
That was weird. You were like, I don't know how you did it, but you sound like you're in chorus with yourself. That was...
Do I still sound like...
There were two and I going on there. It was lovely.
it was just a herd of Andai streaming across the Serengeti.
But I'm not doing it now. There isn't doubled audio. Okay. Whew.
No. You said hello twice, but because of the way you said it the first time, the echoes were still going when you said it the second time. It was really quite bizarre, and I feel like I've just ascended to another plane of reality.
It was beautiful.
I hit the brown note. That's what it was.
I think you hit the white note.
Hey.
Speaking of which, the white note summoned in.
I see this hasn't improved.
It is. We have with us a long-time listener and a good friend, Mr. Adam White, who is now, from this point forward, going to be known as the White Note. It's like a sick note, but sexy.
Ooh.
Well, thanks for having me. Have a good evening.
So this evening we're going to go through what came out Warhammer Day, talk a little bit about the other bits and bobs and things and stuff that we have seen. But first of all, I have to ask the question, the magical, mystical question, the question to which all questions are derived, and that is, Andy! What have you done in the last week that you would have done last week if we'd spoken last week, but we didn't speak last week because we didn't record last week, and this is the first time we record it in about a month's time?
You mean Warhammer-wise?
Yes, Warhammer in general fun.
No, not really anything Warhammer-wise. I haven't felt that twang.
No.
I think the last thing I did was I met you and I was stripping some chosen.
No. You met me and you were stripping. That's the entire sentence.
That's a little bit. I did get on the Imperial Fists yellow contrast paint that I got when I was with you, and it's people say it's a really good contrast paint. Yeah, it's pretty good. It does the job. It does what you want it to. Get some yellow, get some contrast on there. But apart from that, I haven't really pushed too far on with them. Just haven't been in the mood. Have too much gardening to do and a chainsaw. So
give your ass raw. Keeps going this way. Just might break something tonight.
Maybe. I actually had a hard time with the chainsaw today because it wasn't actually cutting through a tree that I had, and I'm wondering if I've blunt the chain and I need to get a new chain already. I don't know. Is that a thing?
I wouldn't have thought so. I mean,
it can happen, but I don't think it's that. It wouldn't wear out that quickly.
No,
it's weird. It's like I was trying to use the chainsaw, like it's a hatchet one, so it's a smaller one, but it just was not cutting that quickly through this not relatively thick branch. Maybe the wood on it is tougher, but it baffled me. I was confused. Had to get like a handsaw and handsaw it through. Took even longer. That wasn't fun,
Heretical
though.
wood.
Yeah, I hate. There's so much garden work. I think I'm gonna have to bite the bullet and hire like a garden team to come and just like rip out most of it because it's just too much front and back. Oh god, it's a night. It's the nightmare that just gets worse and worse. It's like the Tyranids. They just keep invading and growing and spreading. That's my plant life.
Is there no gardeners that you can get hold of? Because
No, I probably can. I can probably go into like not the yellow pages, but go online and find local traders, and probably that way. It's just like the knowledge of how much is it going to cost, because I've got a very big garden and there's a lot of work to be done.
Yeah, I know that whenever I had somebody in to do my dad's garden, it's about £15 an hour.
I'll be more than that. It'll be
yeah.
Oof.
But I mean, he's got a big garden.
Big
garden, because it backs onto woods. So where
do
does
they
the garden
do they have to do the wood as well?
I think that's what it confuses them. They just wander off into the woods, never seen again. Have to get new people.
That's Sylvaneth, man. They smell the sap and they get lured in by the tree people.
Well, it's happened to us all.
It's true. We've always been in the sticky situation, you and I, and Mr. White.
The White Note is always in a sticky situation.
The connoisseur of the stick.
Mr. White, have you
apart from hating you both right now, really bad.
No.
Firstly, Andy, are you sure that you don't have species from Catachan in your garden?
I wish.
And if you trim back enough, will a bunch of sort of Rambo-esque men just come strolling out, going, "I've not seen that devil. Where are they?"
God, I hope so, because I'd asked them to help me get rid of the garden. You can live here. I don't mind. Just clean it up. We're good. Big buff Arnie people.
You could always like invite a series of friends round and then sort of lead them down the garden path into the center of the back garden and then run away, and they have to basically claw and fight their way out, during which they'll clear most of the stuff from the garden.
Gruff, when are you heading down next?
7 men enter, 1 man leave.
You can bring Abby and Child. I don't think you want to bring Child this time. I'm just saying.
No, you see, the problem is, if I brought Jojo, he'd win. Because everyone would go, "Oh, look at the little baby," and then he just gets there with like a little butterfly knife, just and then that's it. People's hamstrings are cut, and he wins. So there.
That's how you deflect a question, by the way. Right, moving on. Let's go.
Mr. White, I know that you got yourself a copy of Leviathan at one point, didn't you?
Oh,
yeah, a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw it when I visited storage during my time off this week in Manchester. No, I've been in London now a year and a half. I've done no painting of any kind.
No.
It is a choice. It's a choice, and a lot of people listening will have this as well, I think, in that your career or your lifestyle circumstances mean you get to do one thing or the other. You get to get really creative, or you do smaller things that you can just fit in around your life. So for me, when it comes to 40K, it is lore videos. And also I discovered, I can't believe this, 40K has become so popular that there are now ambient music channels that play 8 hours of Space Marine style meditation on YouTube. And I plug into that stuff at work. And I even tell my manager, who's just gotten into Sigmar, so he's fully down the rabbit hole, and I just go, I'm listening to this. I don't want any of the crap this afternoon. I'm listening to this. It's a picture of like a Space Marine praying. It's like Ultramarine. I mean, what the hell? But it, like, you know that Warhammer has gotten that visible when there's something as weird and sort of tangential as that.
Is it a lot of Gothic choir tunes, or is it like, what kind of tune is it?
Yeah, it's sort of, there's a bit of Gothic choir, but there's also as well, it's that whole one note is playing, one note is playing, one note is playing, some orchestral, some choir, 5 minutes later, another note is playing, another note. And it's like, that's their kind of mood take on it all. So I don't know how it's been generated, but I mean, let's face it, YouTube is awash with these channels anyway. So, it's all good. So it's like the audio equivalent as well, like the really good lore channels. It's something you can pop on for a given situation.
Yeah. I'm going to take it you haven't enjoyed my Tyranid AMSR video.
Is that Mike Patton-esque?
I put a lot of work into that.
Okay. Okay. I will look
No.
forward to that.
It's around about the 2-minute mark. Just when you're sinking into nice relaxation, that's when you get maximum relaxation.
Enforced terminal relaxation.
Yep,
That's
I've
good
got
to know.
an hour of tyranid ASMR, so I should say. Yeah.
But I should say as well, the other thing I did during the week was I watched the reveal. I watched it, so I chose to watch it via Kirioth, just because it's always nice to have him, chatting away. There was a lot of good banter that went on during the show, and I really think as well that given the way that sort of GW is sort of producing these, I think they really need to start kind of rewarding some of these guys that step in and provide, I think, more discourse and commentary whilst these shows are going on, especially in the build-up, because they're getting more and more people watching their channel, not just the official one. But
it's something
save
that
that for
we
later.
really need to think about at some point. But I think it would end up with me with a small child sitting on my knee, which could either be really good or really bad. I don't know. Although I do have to point out that whilst watching the Warhammer Day stream, Joseph just popped up and went, "I like scary robots." Excellent.
Well, there we go.
Well, at least he didn't come and tell you at like 1 o'clock in the morning as he like pushed his head really close to you and whispered it into your ear and then walked out.
Would you like to know about deadlings, Andy?
Sure. What's a deadling?
Deadling is what Joseph says crawls under his bed at night.
Okay.
It's a skeleton hand. Remember, the kid's just coming up 4. It's a skeleton hand that's rotted and detached from the skeleton and now runs around looking for hearts and brains that it can take back to the skeleton.
Oh, so it's getting it like body parts and food.
Yep.
Oh, that's neat.
The cannibalistic cousin it.
Yes.
If you're already a skeleton, because at that point you've lost all of your flesh, is it cannibalistic? Because,
No,
I mean, are you
no.
human at that point? Because you are a skeleton of a human, but are you a human?
That's true. We all have a skeleton inside of us, but a skeleton does not have a man around him.
Yeah, you wouldn't look at a skeleton and say, "Oh, that's a human." You'd say that's a skeleton of a human or a human skeleton.
Can we just say, in you, Andy, we have the ideal expert on this.
Well, I have partial skin, so I'm not quite there yet. So
You're feeling superior.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, I did watch the first episode of Pariah Nexus this week.
Ooh.
And
It's very pretty. It's very pretty. The scene transitions are really stark and harsh. It almost feels like each scene should have been like a YouTube short. Because when a scene ends and it goes to a new scene, there's a hard cut to black and then a title card pops up. And it does this like 3 or 4 times, which makes the episode feel it doesn't make it flow very smoothly. It switches from the Sister of Battle and an Imperial Guards woman talking, and then hard cuts to black, title card, and to the Necron stuff. And I thought, instead of just the black screen, establishing shot of where Illumino Zaras is would probably work better and work smoother. But they didn't do that. Also, the Imperial Guard lady would have been killed from the first word that she says in the show. She basically starts being a little bit heretical. So this is a very, very kind, very, very generous Sister of Battle, because there are a lot of lines I'm like, oh, she'd be dead. Sister of Battle would just kill her. Just outright kill her. She might not be alive, though. It might be a hallucination, I'm assuming. But it's a very pretty show, but I'm not sure about the overall story and the feel of the pacing of it. I'd be interested to hear what you and Mr. White think about it in the future when you get to watch it, of course.
Yeah, I'm way behind, to be honest. I've still got about a year's worth of Hammer and Bolter to catch up on. And I'd never finished the one about the Inquisitor.
Is that the Blood Angels one?
No. There was one about an Imperial agent in a what you call it, in a hive world.
Okay.
I saw the first 2 episodes of it, and it was really good, but I totally as happens in life, I just forgot about it for about 3 months, and then that was
Miss
it.
Big D says interrogator.
Interrogator, that's the one. Interrogator. That was really good. What I saw of it was really good, but yeah. I mean, the only series I finished watching in the last year, I think, has been Severance. Which, if anyone's seen Severance, go. You know what I mean. If you haven't seen Severance, go see Severance. It's.
I've only seen the Danny Dyer movie Severance, which is great.
Nope,
Love it.
it's not that.
I have Severance downloaded. It's just when I can find a suitable time to watch it.
Was that on Apple?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I hear that was like the only reason people had Apple, because that was like legitimately really good.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, there's that, and Stylo, and a film about a cat that gives a lady a lucky penny.
How does it give it a penny?
Just
Doesn't have thumbs.
Just falls out of its medallion, like dunk. Just he stops, and the woman gives him chips, and he eats the chips and drops a penny, and then the woman has
Hang
good
on.
luck.
Does the
It's not a good film. Don't let it.
does it drop a penny every time you give it chips?
No. It needs the penny to travel between the land of luck and the land of humans.
Okay.
There's a German unicorn.
It's basically a story about Zench, and
Familiar. I can see that.
You cannot question the actions of the cat. It just is.
It just is as planned.
I think it's fine to question these things, because then it just makes you go crazy, and I'm okay with that. I'm all right with that. You poke the bear, in this case the cat, and see what happens.
Poke the Cocaine Bear, a film I still haven't seen.
I hear it's fine. I hear it's a gimmick more than anything else. It's like,
It is what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like,
I've just realised I'm sitting here wearing my White Dwarf shirt of the first ever White Dwarf I ever owned, and I'm wearing a big jumper because it's cold, so you can't see it. So there's a piece of information for you. Right. Yeah. Severance is amazing. Everyone should watch Severance. And then the King of the Monsters series starts next month. So, ooh. And I've got
And
6
I've
months
been looking through this.
Oh, son of a god.
Sheesh.
Not the re-release.
No, that's not out yet. But that's an original printing. Or is it a Warhammer World reprint?
No, it's an original.
Ooh.
How is it? What's the condition like for it?
Beautiful. Just one bang to the spine, and that's it. It's fine. And it was from Oxfam, and it was.
Man.
I was going to give to them anyway because of something, and so I was just like, what can I pick up?
That's a crazy find. I never find anything when I go to charity stores. Nothing.
Oh, Oxfam Online. Check it out.
Oh, the store online.
Stick in
Okay.
40K. They have a very odd, eclectic set. There's like clearly one person that doesn't chuck out all the 40K stuff. Like
Jesus.
masses of stuff because I mean that's the thing with charity shops. Years ago, I think it was early 90s, there was a ban on hard plastic in a lot of charity shops, which means that countless action figures for a lot of, not all, but a lot of charity shops, they just threw them out. So Star Wars toys would have been thrown out. All those 80s collectibles thrown out.
Why was
hard
there
plastic?
Why was that? What was it about the hard plastic?
It was something. I think it was about the whole kids choking hazard thing. They sort of took it to the nth degree. So when you go in now, the toys there are often the most basic, or they're I think they've even as well gone the other way and then said, well, we can't have plushie toys because we don't know how well they've been cleaned and blah blah blah. They've got so many rules and regulations that's why you end up with this 300,000 CDs, 2 VHS, and maybe one Duplo toy. It's like, and it's a shame because they would have obviously done quite well at that over the years. But
what I'm finding really interesting is right now, charity shops, I don't know if it's nationwide or just in my area, they're starting to get the 2012 Turtles figures in.
Ooh.
So I've been picking those up for Joseph because they're really good figures. They're probably the best turtle figures that have ever been made. And so far it's like, well, I'm just watching out now. Can I see any bad guys? Oh, here's a mutagen man. Sweet. It's ridiculous. Absolutely.
Yeah, but does Jojo have a shredder that turns into a drill?
No.
Or does he have a Donatello that turns from a turtle to a bigger, smaller, unmutated turtle?
Yes. He
He
literally
has that one.
has. He literally has that Donatello.
Does it still have the rubber side part on? Because I remember I
Yes.
lost one of mine.
No,
That was
I've still got mine was bought in Allain in 1993, and
Oh my
it
God.
has. Oh yeah, and it has stayed in decent condition. All the like spare parts and stuff are left.
Yeah.
But I was going through my dad's attic, and we found it and went, "Well, I know who's gonna like that." Joseph fucking loves it. Loves it.
There's
Wasn't that
turtles
what-
in it.
Wasn't there a turtle that actually turned into a van?
That was Splinter. Splinter turned into a van. Is it Splinter that turned into a van?
Just nuts.
I'm sure.
Was
I'm
it
sure.
Splinter?
I'm sure Splinter turned into the van because I've been trying to get Matt to buy it for like 10 years.
Specifically, Matt.
Oh yeah. Specifically, nobody else.
I mean, there was a reason why turtles were hot stuff back in the day. Like that stuff you just couldn't. Do you remember when it first came out in the UK in like '93 or something? Just
Massive.
couldn't get them. Just couldn't get them. It's crazy.
I've got a weird story about that because I got them when Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles hit America. We got the original pilot, that 4-part series, as a complete series in of itself with nothing else. So it was just that being repeated every 4 days. You just got the 4 episodes repeated, 4 episodes repeated, 4 episodes repeated. The toys were coming out, Leatherhead and everything coming out, and all the kids at the school were going nuts for it. But you still get those 4 episodes repeated, 4 episodes repeated, 4 episodes repeated. I moved back here in 1992, I want to say. Round about then, anyhow. Whenever the Gulf War kicked off. And we moved back, and the first thing I saw on children's TV was the premiere of those first 4 episodes. So it'd be 91, it'll have been. And it was like, brand new, the big hot thing from America, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Ooh, it's the same 4 episodes.
Except
They were
with
Hero
the-
Turtles, yeah.
yes, with the stupid parental controls in place.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what they did to the figures, but I know there were some really odd. Didn't they swap nunchucks for like a string of sausages or something really like bland? Yeah.
Yeah. But they didn't remove Michelangelo's spike on the stick type thing. So you had the spike on the stick and the chain. So the nunchucks went, but you still had spike on the stick and the chain.
What's more violent? Is it more violent to beat someone to death with nunchucks or with a string of sausages? Because the sausages are going to take a lot longer to kill someone with.
Mm-hmm.
And it's much more of an embarrassing way to go, right?
Well, how would you prefer to die? Would you prefer to die with somebody coming at you with ninjutsu weapons and beating you to death until you're a bloody pulp? Or the greasy sausage strangler drops down from the ceiling and the last thing you hear is his lisping voice as he just starts to strangle you with Lincolnshire sausages?
I mean, it's basically death by Bernard Manning.
Mm-hmm.
I actually had Lincolnshire sausages tonight.
Yeah, the last.
I'm not
words
saying I
you
killed
hear
anyone,
is-
but-
The last words you hear is beautiful.
I've actually got a theory that Paul Hollywood from Great British Bake Off.
No.
That he actually has strangler's hands.
Oh my god!
And if you watch him when he's talking to people, his hands are twitching because he wants to strangle.
Is he the buttery biscuit base guy?
He's the guy with a neck like back bacon.
Is he bald and wears
No.
glass? No. Okay. Who am I thinking of?
You're either thinking of me or a guy off MasterChef.
No, all I
Master
remember
Chef.
is that someone
Yeah,
made
you're-
it.
Yeah, Greg. I think his name's Greg or something. He's another TV chefy typey person. But yeah, Paul Hollywood is sort of silver grey fox kind of. Yeah.
Yeah?
He's quite a. I don't know. I think he styles himself as quite a manly man on the show. I don't know.
Okay.
Would you agree, Adam?
What, the Paul Hollywood's a manly man?
Well, no,
Well,
that
that he
he sort of
styles
he styles himself or presents himself as such.
He presents himself as a bull lumbering through a china shop with strangler's hands.
With-
With strangler's hands. The man,
Maybe
man
some
strangles.
ladies like that. I don't know.
I'm thinking like strangled to death,
Oh, asphyxiation stuff. That's a thing.
Do you know the weirdest thing is that funny, before I came here tonight, I was invited onto a 40k show. I don't know where that went. But
You have seen anything that Griff has ever produced, right? You have talked to Gruff in person?
occasionally.
Had you forgotten?
There are videos online apparently.
Or the bubble gun. My
Fountain.
favorite thing that
No,
I've ever done in my
I think
life.
it was spelling. I think it's spelling with the Macho Man
Mhm.
from the last TF Nation we attended together.
Oh god, that was a classic. That was an absolute classic. No, it was learning to spell numbers with the Macho Man Randy Savage.
That's the one.
First you start with an O, and then you move to the end of the first lady of my true love's name, the lovely Miss Elizabeth. And that's an E. And that's how you spell 1. Now we're going to move on to the number 2.
And I think we got to 11.
And then I just lost the will to live.
Oh, you'd lost it well before that. I saw it in your eyes. It had gone.
Oh man, you've got airplanes coming down behind you and everything.
Yeah.
I'll rephrase that. You've got airplanes landing behind you.
Yeah. Yeah. So for those not aware, I live near the Excel in London, which means last weekend was a Comic-Con, MCM Comic-Con, but also it means just behind it is the London airport.
Mhm.
So you will see planes flying overhead. But
That's
it
cool.
means on any given weekend, the whole local area is defined by the type of event they have. This was especially true 3 weeks ago when the UK held its arms fair. And the police locked off the entire place. They actually locked off the local underground, so you couldn't get off it, and you had to go to the next stop down and then walk back. I've never seen so many police, and it was an official government thing as well. These were arms sellers, and they
Ah.
have a convention for that. Yeah,
That's kind of
and
interesting. I'd be kind of
half-
tempted to go if I was that close
Well,
to it, just to see it.
Well, no, that's the thing. You can't get. There was literally
Ah.
a ring of steel around it, because in the past they've had they've had protesters and they've had all sorts of people. And remember as well, this was the climate 3-4 weeks ago, and it was bad enough already because of world events. You
Yeah.
imagine if it kicked off now, it's just yeesh. So, but they literally had vehicles and helicopters and weapons in the Excel, and then they will then pack all that up, move it away. Everything is seamless, spotless. 2 weeks later, Comic-Con, kids walking around with 3-foot wooden swords. The security guards there have seen some shit.
Oh yeah.
Nothing phases them anymore.
Although
So,
the idea that you said presenters, I've now got images of Paul Hollywood trying to get in there to get some strangling gloves from the arms dealers.
It's Noel Edmonds, another shotgun.
Noel Edmonds would not ever go down the shotgun route. Noel Edmonds is a taser man. He would like to watch as you slowly but surely go.
Nah, it'd be a blade up close and personal, and he would look you in the eyes.
I don't think that Noel Edmonds is the type of man to get you with a switchblade. I think I'm telling you, it'd be taser. It would be over a prolonged period of time, and you'd be the golf balls in a sock. That would be the other thing you'd go for. That's Noel Edmonds.
Did Noel Edmonds ever do like a parody of like the 80s Blob film with Mr. Blobby as the Blob?
No.
Oh, that's a shame.
Because that would have actually taken some ingenious thinking on Noel Edmonds' part. Noel, why can't I get a job on TV? Stroke, I don't bother paying for a TV license, and I said so on national TV. Edmonds. I always thought that Noel Edmonds looked like the anorexic brother of the $1 Million Man. But anyhow, moving on. We're going to talk about some Warhammer now.
Can I just one more thing before we close the section? I've got because it's been bugging me. Andy, are you at some point gonna in any way kit bash the outside of your chainsaw? Because you've got a chainsaw.
What do you mean, kit bash it?
Well, just put a couple of symbols on, some heretical or non-heretical stuff. Maybe paint it a certain color. I mean, would you do?
That would require too much talent, and I don't have that. Like, to sculpt stuff would be really difficult to do. You can. I have seen people customize the one I have by giving it a bigger blade or chain,
God.
which is kind of fun. So you can turn it from a 4-inch blade to like a 10-inch blade, which is kind of fun, or chain, which is kind of neat.
Cool.
But yeah, you don't want to paint that. You don't want to paint it because it's going to get jammed full of twigs and berries and blood, and you
That's
don't
true.
want to. You don't want to have to sort that out.
Yeah, getting the marrow off is a bit difficult.
Oh, you have no idea. You have to unscrew the little screw on top. You take off the thing. You have to clean it all out and then re-oil it and put it back together. It's a faff.
Cool. Good to know. Sorry.
Then tying the chain up.
As you were.
If you could buy an actual chainsaw to use to cut through your trees, would you buy it?
Oh yeah. Well, depending on price, I'm a cheap bitch, so it would entirely depend on that.
300 quid.
That's really good price for a chainsaw. That's incredibly good. The one I have cost about 300.
Okay. I don't know how much chainsaws go for. I steal all mine. All right, then.
Chainsaws can be quite expensive.
575.
That's still quite cheap. That's the current model of the one I have.
It's a working chainsaw, right?
Yeah,
working chainsaw, but it is only like knife sized.
Ooh.
So it's not a chain knife. So you don't get that visceral feeling of throwing a chainsaw about. It's more like an old Edmund stabby.
Okay, but to make it more interesting, when you start it, not only does the motor go, but you also get a very, very loud choir sound emanating from the from the item. So it is blessed.
How's it powered? Battery, gas, petrol.
Soul,
Yeah.
It's
spirit.
a backpack you have to wear with a battery in it that goes through to the chainsaw through a cable.
So it would last a while. It would last a hell of a long time.
It's a car battery, so it's quite heavy.
Okay. Oh, that'd be tempting.
You'd be looking like Ghostbusters, but Ghostbusters 2, not Ghostbusters 1.
I'm thinking like Ghostbusters, but also murderous corn Ghostbusters. Afraid of no goat.
I reckon if it's like knife sized, you could probably sell that to like wood sculptors easily.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, you can keep getting it smaller until you get like a little pen-sized chainsaw.
The ship sword.
The problem is the backpack's exactly the same, no matter which one you get. You get this massive backpack. They're so heavy.
Good news, folks. These nail clippers go through anything. The bad news is a backpack.
Right. Should we talk about some news then?
Sure.
Well, what I've done, I've made headway into my 4,000 points of Skaven that I've printed.
Woo!
Once
But
I
you
finished-
printed, so you did it by choice.
Yes, yeah. So I built a Skaven army using nothing but the Total War Warhammer Skaven models because, and I'm going to be honest about the reason for it, I cannot justify paying Games Workshop prices for Skaven when they are looking that old and that decrepit.
What was the last new Skaven model that wasn't Bloodborne?
Stormfiend.
And it was the single hero, wasn't it?
Oh no, that was the Warplock Engineer. That's right.
Yeah.
Who came out for Spire of Blood.
Who was it versus? Sylvaneth.
No, it was versus the ghouls.
No, there was one
Feast
after
of Bones.
that.
Feast of Bones.
There was the one after that, wasn't there?
No, that's the last Skaven.
Was it not? Oh, okay.
The Warplock Engineer, yeah. There's been no Skaven since then. And before that, it was the new Vermin Lord and Stormfiend for the End Times. And before that was Sixth Ed with the Storm Vermin and Clan Rats.
Good grief.
Yeah, so it's fair to like say, hey, maybe I do my own.
Yeah, because I mean, the only other way I was going to be able to do it was by buying the Warcry, Underworlds, and Blood Bowl Skaven and kit bashing Skaven out of them. Getting swords and stuff for them. And you're looking at costing about £70-80 per unit doing it that way, and it's just not worth it.
And it's still limited, right? Because you won't be able to. You're not going to get one of those box sets and be able to make a team of Jezzails. Just all rattling, and it's just impossible. Can't do it.
Yeah. So which is why I've gone down this route.
Yeah.
I mean, Mavotan, that's official. Everything else is still official. It's just I cannot, in good faith. And how long have we been doing this show? And how long have I been saying I want? The moment they do a Skaven refresh, I'm all in. Yeah, I love the Skaven. They are amazing to me. They're my first army. You just can't bloody do it. It's ridiculous.
It's like an Eldar player saying, "You know what? I'm 3D printing my own warp spiders," and GW being like, "Whoa! You don't want to buy the resins?" And they're like, "No,
That's legit.
no,
To a Jezzail right now is you can only buy in resin.
yeah."
Right, Warpfire throwers you can only buy in resin. What's the- I
Rattling
think
gunners. No, rattling gunners. He said were metal, didn't you?
Yeah, rattling gunners are still
For
metal.
some reason.
Still metal. Wow.
Still metal. So
That's how old they are. They haven't been updated to resin.
Yeah, it's mental. It's absolutely mental. Especially when you think that the Skaven are like the longest running Warhammer race. You know, they're the original Games Workshop race.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the Fimir and things have gone off into the abyss. But the Skaven should be getting something more than this. Because the problem is that their army is built to be a Warhammer Fantasy Battle army. They're all built to be in regiments. So the moment you put them onto round bases, they look terrible. They look so bland and uninteresting compared to like anything else. The Oryx, the Slaanesh forces. You know, they've all got this dynamic feel to them.
The
Skaven are
goblins. Oh,
yeah, goblins are the other one. But there's enough new goblin stuff to
Yes.
make it worthwhile running a goblin army.
yeah. You can hide the kind of old night goblins in there and be like, don't look at them.
Well, if I was
They're
going to do
there.
that, I would be going on eBay and buying the old metal ones. You know,
Oh, they're really fun. Yeah.
they are. They've got so much character to them. They're
Yeah.
wonderful. They're absolutely brilliant little minis. I love them. I've got a few of them actually. Just up in the. You can't see it unfortunately, but over here I've got a cabinet of interesting models, and it's all stuff that's like from the.
Are
late
you
80s,
making your
early
bring
90s.
out your lead cabinet? Is that what you're doing for your
I'm
own
making-
home?
I'm making to bring out your lead army.
Yeah.
Because that's the other project I've got going at the moment is a Old Hammer Realm of Chaos era Chaos Dwarf army.
Ooh.
Nice.
So, and I've also got a 4th, 5th edition Chaos Dwarf army, big hats, and the Skaven, and my Oryx,
Not many. Not much.
and the Voton,
Yeah.
and I also want to do a Dune Steel Cult Titan army.
And you've got to do a Vermin Lord too.
Oh, I've got an idea for a Vermin Lord. Ooh,
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you
I've got a
do.
real good idea for a Vermin Lord. I'm really happy with that. So yeah, the current joke on the Discord is that the moment I start putting up pictures, and I've got all the pictures of the army up, and it's like, there we go, 4,000 points of Skaven, finished, ready for my my campaign with the 2 guys from work that I've infected. That's when the Skaven refresh will happen,
Yeah, agree.
because that seems to be the way of it. So, let us talk then a little bit about the things that have happened earlier this week. So we had a bit of a Warhammer World, which had some, shall we say, interesting moments where some things could have gone well, some things could have gone better, some things could have gone worse. But there was a wonderful little sequence where the the hosts just say, "And now for something from Age of Sigmar," as it starts to show you half a second of Kill Team, Scouts, and Eldar. But I love the way that they got round it afterwards and just went, "You might have seen a little sneak preview of something coming up," which I thought was a very fun way of doing it.
Bless them.
So, first thing we're going to do, we've got some new Necron coming. For the Stormlord has re-risen. Imhotep, the Stormlord. We're coming out with the new Necron book. And this is the one that my son went, "I like Scary Robot." I think Joseph might be a Necron player, you know.
He's got good taste. Mm-hmm. It's the right thing to do. I mean, he's dreaming about the undead, so you know, he's doing the right thing, if you ask me.
So, what do you guys think of Imhotep the Stormlord? He's a great character, and having somebody who's just risen up. I mean, his original point was he turns up just going, "Well, nobody else is in charge of the Necrons. It's just me." And then, of course, the actual Necron Lord King turns up and he just goes, "Well, sucks to be me."
Has he done much since 9th edition, where the Silent King returned, or is it just kind of he's pissed off somewhere? What's he been up to? Ogriff of the lake.
Well, just throwing swords at you.
Ah,
Well, don't actually know, because I'm going to assume that he's going to be front and center in the Codex.
Yeah.
But he has not been heard of. But then again, the Silent King himself is a bit of a strange one because he. Stop me if this sounds familiar. He arrived and then nothing happened.
Well, he's not a space marine, is he? So.
Mm.
No. Or chaos. My bad. Or chaos.
Yeah, I'm pleased to see Imhotep back. Imhotep's a great character. He's I mean, he's not top tier. He's not S tier Necron. There's a certain collector and a.
You're just biased because of that bloody book. Don't lie. Don't lie. To be fair, if you're going to do anybody first, it is Imhotep, isn't it? Because he is, like you said, the boy, the big.
Yeah.
He was the big boy till the Silent King came, and his model was crap because it was resin, and no one wants a resin model. From what I remember about that model, this is a similar pose, but this looks 100 times better, unsurprisingly, like big shoulder pads. His stick looks a bit unwieldy for a slicing kind of stick. He's got a nice hand that he's looking at, like he's got a bogey stuck on his hand somewhere, but that's okay.
If you bought Imhotep, would you want to put an Imperial Guardsman head in his hand, just so you could have a reverse "Alas, oh poor Yorick, I knew him" Horatio?
Oh, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
What if it's a cat? What if he just has a fluffy cat in his hand? Because he likes cats.
What if, like, you have one of those hamsters that you keep sending me pictures of?
Oh, yeah, that'd be fun as well. Just a random little hamster. I will say that this release does feel like, he's the Necron Codex. He's the one extra model that you get that is included in this.
Yeah. That's my concern, is that they seem to do too much of this. There's one element, and going back to what you guys said as well, it's like the Silent King. How much potential is there wrapped up in that character? How many? I mean, because you still don't know so much about him, and technically, like, his whole reason for being back doesn't quite make sense unless you get a hell of a lot more lore and you could go really deep into it. So I'm really hoping that they've got a lot of lore in this codex that maybe beefs up some of their story. But it just, you're right, it does feel like, here's your model.
Yeah.
That's it.
Marketing wise, I get it as well. It's how you push the book, isn't it? It's like, well, here's your new book. Why should I buy it? Well, it has the new model connected to it. So that's why you should pick it up. Be excited. We've seen this done quite a few times. It happens with the singular boxes, like your Skaven Warp Engineer as well. It's like, here's one new model, and that's all you get. And so we're probably not going to see a lot of Necron stuff, I'm guessing, because this is the Codex. We got one new model. We're done. Yeah. Nothing else for this, I would imagine. This to be fair, era.
Yeah, they did get a complete line refresh with
mostly. Yes. There's still like the Tomb Guard and the one that you can do outside the Tomb Guard, the other way you can build them, are really old. They're not really fun. They're pretty unfun to put together. Same with the Immortals and the Death Marks. They're fine, but they're just not very fun to put together and they don't look nearly as good as the other stuff. We still don't have an individual release for the Destroyer Lord. That's still, you can't buy that.
Not. Yeah, of course not.
Normal Destroyer, the little floaty destroyers. Yes. You can't buy them in shops. You can only buy them online, and they are very old as well. So there's what's the cat the guy stuck in the prison? It's a giant Necron cube, basically. What's that one?
Oh, the Catan Shard guy.
The Catan Shard, he's in the prison fortress, and it can be rebuilt into another thing. That can only be bought online as well. So there's still there's a lot of stuff that's just like locked for the Necrons that aren't new. Tomb Blades are really old as well.
Yeah.
So the complete line fresh? No, it is like
70% line refresh.
I would have said like more 50, to be honest.
Okay. Fair
more
enough.
50 with new units added as well, but about 50%.
Guys, can I ask? Obviously, sure. I don't have any sort of modeling background here, but what are your thoughts, both of you, on the cloak? How it looks between the front of the book and the model, and do you think that Keep Ashes will find a way to maybe make something more in line with the cover, or is that too difficult a challenge considering the size of this thing?
No,
I didn't even notice that. You're right; they're not at all similar at all.
No.
They're completely different.
Yeah.
That's a good catch. I didn't notice that.
Yeah, he's got the Hex Energy cloak that a lot of the Necron Lords have had in since 9th. But on the cover, you've got this really cool. It almost looks like those Japanese prayer tickets, doesn't it?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah, that's it.
I was going to say gold pressed latinum.
Yeah, all that. Yeah.
Quark would love this. He'd love it. Yeah, I think the gold press platinum fits in more with the royalty higher up echelon Necrons because they have a lot of that in general. I mean, you can even see that on his groin piece. A lot of Necrons have that. I don't mind the energy cloak. Could you, Mr. White question was, could you make that kind of gold press platinum cape? Yeah, definitely. Would it be hard to do? I guess it
not that hard, because what you'd be doing at that scale is just making like maybe 10 strips and then cutting them into even side, not fully all the way, but cutting them so you've got like obvious different sections, and then you just need a little round tool to poke into it.
Yeah,
and it would be time consuming as hell.
I was thinking there might be an easy way. Do you remember the standard Overlord who has who was the big leader, a non-named character? He has those coming down from like his chest. He has 2 of them.
Mm-hmm.
If you snip those off and you made like little resin molds for them,
you blue stuffed it.
Blue stuff or green stuff, and then just like shoot some resin or something in and just do it that way. You could make a few at least.
Blue stuff is a mold maker. So what
that's the one.
You heat it up, and when it's hot, it's really malleable. So you put whatever you want, squish it between 2 parts, let it cool down. You peel it off, put the green stuff in, and
that's the one. Yeah,
it's not the best thing in the world, obviously, but it's not bad for making little simple molds.
It's more involved than you maybe like. If anybody wanted to do this, you'd need to probably do quite a lot of heavy crafting. I think it's not an easy fix, unfortunately.
No.
And I imagine because of the size, and again, sorry, folks watching, you're going to have to forgive me for my lack of knowledge on this, but it's not something where you could maybe take sprue parts, the sprue bases, and like mold them down into, so you have the main cloak, but then you have maybe 1 or 2 additional like sprue bits stuck on top. As like a kind of cheaty way of sort of adding a bit in, but without having to do everything.
Yes, I think because all you're doing effectively is like turning the sprue parts into squares or rectangles, I suppose. So I think the difficulty is like getting them the right thickness.
That's
going to be the hard part, because like you probably need a specific tool, because if you tried with nippers, it would make a mess.
Good point.
But I think you could do it that way as well, but you also then need something to like melt the detail into it, and I don't know what you could use for that. But again, that would be another way you could probably get it done as well. Yeah.
Cool. Aaron on the chat says 3D printers to the rescue on this, maybe. That's probably that'd be the easiest way of doing it. Is just seeing if anybody makes a 3D update to it to add to the model.
I mean, I'm assuming the way that this is cut for like being in separate pieces are like his back shoulders were probably 2 halves.
Yeah.
So like that entire cape plus the back of the shoulders are probably 1 piece, I would imagine.
I would actually say that I would probably guess that cape's going to be in 2 pieces.
You think so?
The way it curves, So the way it curves, it's going to be too much on 1 single sprue.
I don't know. I think I've seen like we've had wavy capes before on like
but there's like a massive wave in the middle of that. I'm thinking of like the Stormcast. The Stormcast capes often are in 2 parts when they're that dynamic. Maybe
I'm just thinking of like Custodians, because the Christies have some pretty big foldy capes on them as well. I don't know. It could easily be 2 parts.
I think you're right, but I think it's like the end tip, if you like, is its own section. It just looks like maybe it's a paint line, but on the article you can see it's either light or a paint effect or something like that. But there does appear to be a bit of a chop in there. But
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
be fascinated to see what people come up with this, because I mean he's a big chunky boy, so
Mhm.
he's got a lot of character to him.
And yeah, well, in all honesty, he's really cool. And if you're a Necron player, I'm glad you've got him, because it's good to have an old character make a return.
Do you know much about the new things that they showed for the hyperphasic recall? Anything like that?
Yeah, I had a look
Does
at
this mean anything
I
to
had
you?
a quick look at them. Obviously, I haven't actually had a chance to play 10th Ed yet, so a lot of it's it goes over my head, unfortunately. I really need to sit down and read the 10th Ed rules properly, because what I've seen there's a lot of good stuff in there. But yeah, basically, it just seems to be a lot of how 10th Ed works. Here is a mutable element that you can add to your army in order to make your army do something different and act differently on the battlefield, which there's no bad thing about that. Absolutely not.
Yeah, I wonder how they'll do in 10th now that they've got this update. Will it make them much better? Because they were by the end of 9th, they weren't great, from what I heard.
No, they were running right behind, weren't they?
Yeah, because they were like the first army, apart from Space Marines, that came out and got a thing in 9th. So it makes sense why they got absolutely rammed by the end.
Yeah, yeah.
So I wonder if this will help balance things out for the game. I'm sure you'd hope so, at least for a few months until the other codexes come out.
Well, from what I've heard, the way that things seem to be happening is that the meta isn't going to be as choppy as it was in 9th. There's a lot more of everything's stable and everything's going to have its place on the battlefield, if that makes sense.
I hope so.
Which is a much better way of doing it, because meta chasing is fucking ridiculous. Now, we talk about my favorite 40k thing that I've seen in a very, very long time.
Is it Mr. White?
Yes, it is. It's Mr. White.
Gadget.
Oh God, this man, the Sidonian Scatros. I mean, you just take that name, Sidonian Scatros. Just, yeah, you know he's a piece of shit. I love him. I love him so much. There is so much I want to talk about this guy. Namely, the fact he's got a giant swinging hog just there, a big swinging D, you might say.
Oh my goodness gracious!
Indeed.
Yep. The fact that he's on big old stilts, which makes me think of Stiltman. The fact that he has got binocular eyes and then some binocular eyes that come down over his binocular eyes, and if that's not enough, he's got a mechanical arm with some more binocular eyes on him, and I love him. I love him. He's fucking stupid. He's the dumbest thing that I've seen 40k do in a long time, and he's great.
He's one of those really impractical designs, right? Because you compare this to like a Deathmark who like teleport around the battlefield and hide in the shadows, and there's this guy who he can't hide. He's a terrible sniper. There's nowhere to hide.
Well, the best thing is, you know how powerful that gun is, the recoil of that gun. And he's up on stilts. You know what happens when your center of gravity is that high and you shoot a gun?
I know what happens, though. You see, if you look at about halfway between where his legs start and his legs finish, there is an element that looks like some sort of coil or spring. I would like to think that when he fires, his legs stay completely horizontal, and yet his top body literally just goes bang and then just comes back up again.
It's like, you know that the idea of this thing is that he's meant to be striding through the battlefield, but I can't help but think, because of those springs on his legs, that he goes like Zebedee. It's just like boing, boing, boing.
Yeah, it doesn't look like there's anywhere for a knee bend, does it? For the running position. So yeah, you're probably right. He has to bounce.
Well, the knee is way up.
Oh yeah, there it is.
Yeah,
it's
his human. Knee is. Well, it's just below where his human knee would be. It's right about where the human ankle would be. But think about that practically. Think about that walking.
His actual feet are really small as well. They're tiny little feet.
And you've got this giant swinging dick just hanging low, firing exhausts. So when he walks, that is just going to swing back and forward, throwing him even further off balance. You know, he is the most impractical piece of shit, and I love him. I fucking adore him.
Is the exhaust down that low to like spew noxious gases around melee fighters so they like can't breathe? while they're trying to reach him.
I hope so.
It could be his own cloud cover.
Yeah, exactly.
But he's too tall for his own cloud cover.
You see his top part of his body like breaking through the cloud like some sort of minor deity.
Yeah.
And of course he's then got because he's so tall, that thing on his shoulder is practically a lightning collector. so he is just the worst. And all I can think about is if you took him and then you took the weird power suit legs from one of those Sisters of Battle power suits, and then you take and so you put the Stiltman on top of those power legs, and then you put that whole thing on top of the Grey Knight power suit legs as well.
Yeah.
And then you put them on some Titan legs, and then you've got yourself something special. It'll be like a 3-foot high model with just like that guy on top going, "Hello."
3 foot high, but only 2 inches wide. It's great. I mean, honestly, when this guy turned up, I know you had the super dramatic video and everything, but I burst out laughing.
I think everyone did.
And I don't in any way want to sit here and say he's shit. I hate him, because I don't hate him. As Darren says in the chat, I've only known this Sidonian Skatros for 5 minutes, and if anything bad happens to him, I will kill everyone in this room and then myself.
Well, look at the mask for his face. Does his eyes look sad to you? Does it look like he's almost crying? To me, he does.
Oh god, yeah, he looks so sad. It's
I don't want to
because
be here.
it's probably because he can't even see anything. You know, he's got triple binocular face, and it's just like, well, I used to be able to see my own fingers. Now it's just a blur. I can see only things far away.
The fact that so many people, yes, people are joking about it, but also so many people have come up with ideas for what they want to do with this. I've seen kit bashes where they've added in like 8 other legs and made almost a millipede out of this guy. You know, there's all sorts of weird and wonderful things. And yeah, some people have tried to imagine like the legs bulked up or other things. I can't think of anything but Inspector Gadget.
Yep.
You know, and people are going to do their own things, but that's the beauty about AdMech. It's meant to be a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
And you know, as long as they can bring out more stuff, you know, more, because you'll have your normal standard, you know, build an army, that's all good. But then if you want something silly to put in there, and let's face it, if you bought this out in a Games Workshop and you're playing an AdMech army and everything else is normal and standard, you bought this out, people would have a laugh, but they would also come over and have a look. And it'd be a talking point.
Absolutely.
It's not a bad thing. Not a bad thing. It proves that there's still a little bit of like, you know, that individuality, that little bit of craziness that's going on with the designers. So I kind of like that.
I also like the fact that he's got like a little bomb of some description, but he's got the pinky out for it as well.
Oh yeah, that's really cute.
Oh.
What does this feel most like from like second edition? Because this feels like a second edition model, like the idea behind it. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, not as much second Ed 40k, but Epic. It's got that.
Epic?
Yeah, it's got like a sort of slightly Titanicus feel to it, where it's just, here's something very big and very silly.
Okay.
Or you know, like yeah. I totally see what you're saying. There is nothing I think that Second Ed would do that would have been this tall, if that makes sense. Nothing this spindly.
Oh, definitely nothing this spindly. They wouldn't have been able to do it. Yeah.
No.
I just mean the idea, I suppose, the silly, weird thing that they've tried to do here more so than anything.
Yeah. I'm hoping that friend of the podcast, Second Ed, which is what I'm going to call him from this point forth.
Well,
he's Ed who plays second edition 40k.
Well,
so
it
he's
works,
Second Ed. Yeah,
Second
Second Ed. And I'm going to feel that he'd probably see something like this and just go, yep, that's what I want. Because much like Necromunda's done over the last few years, it's silly. It's really pushed the idea of what you can put on a battlefield out. And yeah, there's going to be people out there who hate it. That's fine. I love him. I absolutely adore him because he is so freaking stupid. And there's a big thing about 40k that sometimes it forgets how silly it is. It forgets how dumb things can be in 40k. And whenever something comes out that really just goes, yep, we're going full blown daft. I'm in. I'm absolutely in for it. Because, yeah, I started with Rogue Trader and second ed 40k. That was silly. There was a lot of silly in there. Just look at the Orc Storm boys.
Would you say that this is almost meant as a trigger to kit bashers? Then is it almost like, look, this is what we've done.
Mhm.
What are you going to do about it?
I mean, yeah, absolutely. I think kit bashing's a weird thing now, like modern day, because kit bashing either falls into the why would you kit bash? This is how the model was meant to be, or people who just fucking go mental.
Yeah, I can't imagine people who are making the sculpts are too concerned about the kit bashing aspect. I think that's maybe more the people that cut up the models, if you know what I mean, for the the sprue.
I don't know why this is reminding
like
me.
you said, like 10,000 years ago, there were so many units that didn't exist where they went, okay, you have to make this. How could you make it? Well, you just slap these together. Thankfully, we're not really in that era anymore, for the most part.
Yeah. I mean, for something like this, if I bought this to be serious with it, I would put the legs where the mechanical arms are, and have the legs coming out of his back and having him striding along like that, but then have no actual legs on him, so his legs would just end at the stump, and I think that would be quite nice and grotesque in body horror.
Yeah. Well, there would be a spider element to that as well with the positioning. That's really nice, actually.
Did they miss out though, guys? Did they miss out on making these Return to Oz wheelers?
Oh,
did they miss out? You know, instead of him having hands, he has big wheels on his feet and his hands, and then he has the gun on his back.
Yeah. Have you guys read this month's White Dwarf?
No.
Have you seen it? So somebody made some transforming exosuits. So it's a mix between the squat, the Voton vehicle, right, and the baby carrier dreadnought, and they've managed to customize those wheels so it's either on its feet as a robot or on its back as a car.
Oh, that's fun.
It's really cool, like really, really sweet. It's I'll dig some pictures out of it when I'm finished tonight, and I'll send it over to you because they are just superb. But yeah, so I don't care what anyone else says. As far as I'm concerned, this is the best thing that came out of Warhammer Day, and and I think he's beautiful, and he is my new favorite friend.
I will say I'm sad to see that the Adeptus Mechanicus Players Codex is just the recycled artwork from the previous edition.
Yeah.
Thankfully, the Necrons got new artwork. Unfortunately, this time around, the Mechanicus ain't getting nothing new. So that's a
shame. I mean, don't get me wrong; it's a great cover. But yeah,
I think this is worse than the previous one because they've cut out the background and they've just put on a blue hog behind him. So it's the previous one looked way better, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, I actually agree with you on that one. That's a bit of a shame.
Yeah. But of course, Stiltzman is just, again, the new figure to come with this edition, just like Imhotep. Imhotep's more interesting because he's a character, where this is a weird standalone character killer assassin unit. But it's like, okay, whatever. Whenever I see like these spread images, like the army images of the Mechanicus, I always think they look neat. They always look fun.
Oh yeah,
like it's a silly army, and I like it.
Yeah, there's a lot there in Mechanicus I really like.
Could you imagine though, if they brought out the Mechanicus Codex and it was just the whole cover was just dedicated to the legs, and then right at the top, right at the very, very top, there was just a hint of crotch, and that was it. That was it.
Like an E.G. Sue god shot, just massive feet and a tiny head at the top. Yeah. Oh, lovely. Beautiful. Beautiful. Moving on. Guess what, Andy?
Wow.
Guess what? There's some Age of Sigmar stuff.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Yeah, and quite a lot of Age of Sigmar stuff, which, considering some of the rumours that have been coming our way, things start to make a little bit of sense at the moment, don't they? It's
4 years behind.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, 2 years. Aye.
2 years behind. Same thing.
Yeah. It certainly explains a lot that all of a sudden Age of Sigmar just goes, and it's over the last few months Age of Sigmar has fucking gone. It has been a lot of stuff, and it's great. And we're going to kick it off then with Lord Relictor Ionis Cryptborn, who was a character from the original Age of Sigmar box set. Way back
really?
when. Yep.
Oh,
he
that's
was,
ages ago.
Oh, yeah. It's 8 years ago now.
Oh, no. No.
Yeah, I know.
Eh.
That doesn't make any sense, does it? It's so he was also in the Realm Gate Wars books, and then once those went away and the focus kind of shifted from the Stormcast getting back out into the mortal realms and started exploring the mortal realms a bit better, Mionus went away, and now he's back riding what I honestly think is the best fucking dragon Games Workshop has ever made. I adore this dragon. I think he's freaking incredible. Cryptborn himself is really cool. There's a lot of jokes going around of, oh look, it's a Space Marine chaplain on a brand new motorbike.
Yeah, it is. It has a lot of that feel to it.
Hmm.
Space Marine chaplain just riding around.
I'd argue this looks a lot better than the Terminator chaplain that we got recently as well. This looks a lot more interesting.
Just a bit. A bit. So yeah, Ionis is back, and he is brilliant. He is such a cool character as well. You know, he doesn't shout. He just everything's said in a bit of a whisper, and yeah, he is just a really cool Stormcast. And this redesign, not getting into the dragon yet, but the redesign of Ionis himself, it's great. It's so good. It skirts the line between being grimdark and Saturday morning cartoon so well. He looks like he should be a skeleton warrior.
You gonna get him, Gruff?
Yes.
You gonna make him into Skeletor?
No, I'm going to take him. I'm going to take him off his dragon, and I'm going to put a Auric riding the dragon.
You're not going to turn him into Skeletor?
Well, I might turn him into Skeletor by himself.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine. Like it seems like a waste for you not to do that. That seems like a Gruff thing to do.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, you say Skeletor, I actually look at him and I see Scareglow.
I mean, potato. He just needs a hood of the same guy.
Which means if I got some glow-in-the-dark paint, I could have some real fun with him. Yeah. And I've never thought about using glow-in-the-dark paint on Citadel miniatures before, and now I have. I've got a real fun idea.
Ooh. Have you not done them for like goblins? Because goblins would work quite well, like with the bioluminescent fungus.
Yeah, they would.
No, never.
I've never considered it until just now. I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to have a look now to see what type of.
And a lot of them are off their face on drugs as well, and they have little pots of goo. That'd be really good for goblins, actually.
Yeah. No, I'm into this. I'm into this as a plan. Yeah. What do you guys think of Ionis? Because, yeah, I freaking love him. I think he's so perfect. He's just perfect. It's like I love his dragon. I love him. I think he's cool. But what do you guys think?
What do you think, Mr. White? What do you like about it?
I mean, in terms of the sculpting, it's beautiful. The figure, not before we get onto the dragon, the figure itself looks amazing, but he does look. He could fit into either realm. I think it's the shoulders that really do it for me. But also, I love, I know this is obviously the way that the guy has painted it, but I love the very small inclusion of blue. The blue on the top of the skull and then the eyes. I just think it really works. And what I like about the dragon actually is that it's not a typical, like, how many other dragons would be rearing up? With this one, he's almost crawling down. He's almost in his position. He's just a little bit lower, which means that his wings get to come up, and you just have that beautiful texture on the outside of the wing. I don't, like, lore-wise, you guys know, I don't know much on this, but as a model, he looks super impressive. My concern is something that you guys alluded to at the start of this, which is that, hang on a second, this is new Sigmar stuff, but there's so many conflicting or weird things about what's going on with Sigmar at the moment. If this had been out a couple of years ago, I think this would have really given the whole line a real shot in the arm. But it's what's going on with it at the moment. But again, I could be talking bull here because my knowledge is not great.
What happened was this version of Age of Sigmar came out 3.0, the era of the beast, and You had the dragons arrive. Then you had Stormcast riding dragons, and then it went quiet for 2 years. Like literally, we've had smatterings since that over the last 2 years. Age of Sigmar. Yes, we got a complete Lizardman refresh. Put my hands up. That was a big thing that we got. But I mean, am I wrong, Andy? Can you think of anything else big that happened to Age of Sigmar in the last 2 years?
We joked about it every time we had a show that nothing's going on.
Well,
Yeah.
actually, Andy nailed it. Because he said earlier as well. He said that we get a single figure now and then with a new codex or with a new event or with a new this or with a new that. And I think for Age of Sigmar, from my point of view, and again, I don't see all of the stuff you guys see, but to me, all I've heard of is like, there's an extra figure this year in the free figure that you can get from Games Workshop, or there's a one-off figure here or one-off figure there, and it's like it's not even treading water. It's kind of you're not ramping up the interest.
Are you saying it's the meme of the parent grabbing the child while the other child in the foreground's drowning? Are you saying
Possibly,
yeah.
Actually, it is. It's the Sigmar 40k. Yeah.
So is the idea that maybe when dragons were released, this was maybe meant to be like a month after? Because it seems like he should be the leader of those dragons.
Yeah,
or
it
similar.
How much sense does it make that you get the Dragon Brothers?
Yeah.
Then you get the Dragon Riders. Then you get this guy. It's almost like it writes itself. It's like you can see how this was meant to happen. And we've got the Lizardmen, and then up until Cities of Sigmar's release. Well, it's not fully out yet, is it? It's only
it's been teased. It's
only just
is it this week, next week. It's not long, at least.
I know that box set came out. That the
preview one.
Yeah. That's out now.
That's out. Okay.
Yeah, because James has got it, and
Jammy.
Weirdly enough, that's I used to call him Jam Bob.
What a weird name, Jam Bob.
Yeah, it's Jam Bob.
Yeah,
it was after he once turned to me in the middle of a shift and went, "Adam, you know people who live in Seville?" Said, yes. He went, "Do you think they're called civilians?" And I wanted to lean forward and just throttle the life out of his face. And since then, he got called Jam Bob. I can't remember why. It's just that's what happened. Anyway,
I'm googling that after this recording.
But yeah, you can see how it works out, and then all of a sudden Sigmar hits, and then everything just starts ramping up. You get the Dawnbringer books. You get once again, it makes so much sense to have the Dawnbringer books out before the Cities of Sigmar, because you got the Dawnbringers. Because so far the Dawnbringer books haven't had a Cities of Sigmar character in there. It's all the other races.
Yeah.
So then that finishes with the Cities of Sigmar coming out. It makes perfect sense. You can see how it's all not worked. And if this guy had come out way back then, we'd have lost our minds.
Yeah.
But there's a real sense of cautiousness here but it seems to be that Age of Sigmar is finally picking back up again. What's interesting is further down the page, we've got pictures of Cryptborn and the original Cities, the original Stormcast riding amount. Holy shit! The Stormcast have moved on a lot, haven't they?
Oh yeah, they were not good when they first released.
No.
Their proportions were terrible. Terrible.
Yeah, it's interesting, really interesting to me how much that's changed. Because, good God, and also he's got a little skull in a box, much like the Cities of Sigmar guys have, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, it's not an undead head. This is a full proper skull.
Yep.
Oddly enough, it looks like it has the mark from Berserk on it. I don't think it's a deliberate. It's not exactly the same, but it does look a little bit like the brand of sacrifice on there.
That's kind of cool, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, do you think he's going to go Berserk? All right.
Might do.
I mean, he does in the manga, but that's a different thing. There's a lot of stuff. I'll tell you what annoys me the most about the paint job on this. Yeah, Mr. White pointed out the blue on the skeleton man's eyes. He didn't mention the tiny little amount inside the nose hole.
Yeah.
Fuck you, painter. Fuck you. Get out of here.
What makes it worse is if you look at the dragon's eye, how much detail is in
Oh,
the
I know.
pupil and
What a-
iris of that eye. It's insane.
What a cock.
And
He's doing a queen.
every scale's been edge highlighted.
What a cock.
It's
Actually,
insane.
I'd say that, by the way, the best looking skull on that creature is actually on the dragon's shoulder.
Yeah.
And you don't get a close up of it, but it looks really nice.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's just the way it
Floating.
sank into the armor. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
I want to
Yeah.
see someone snap the dragon's head off of this and put on like a bat head and make this into like an undead kind of thing, because I think that would work. Make it into Vargeist or something.
He would be really cool as a mounted. Was it Vargeist the kings for the Ghoul King? The Ghoul
Oh god.
Flesh Eaters. That's what I was trying to remember. I was about to call them-
Terrorgeist.
Yes. That could be quite a cool little thing to do. I mean,
I'd be down.
absolutely, he could have a necromancer riding on him. He could have a chaos warlord on him. What was the dragon's name? It did say
Terry with an I.
Ketharak.
Oh, I was close actually.
Ketharak. It's a good name, Ketharak. I
Yeah.
like that. Yeah. Who has a morbid quest of his own. Ooh. I think he's after a jam sandwich. That's what
I mean,
he's
I
after.
don't blame him.
Just trying to watch Only Fools and Horses on VHS.
He's trying to
Okay,
watch the new.
I do blame him for that.
He's watching the new Fraser because he can't believe that Nicholas Lyndhurst is in it.
Oh,
Yes.
my mate Chris has started watching that. He said the first 2 episodes were sorely disappointing.
Mm-hmm. It's meant to pick up. Like,
Apparently, though, Nicholas is quite good.
yeah. All right. Should we do another little AOS? Because, speaking of people who are good painters, hey?
Fuck him.
Yeah. So the other big miniature that's coming up for Dawnbringers Book 3, The Long Hunt, is Belthanos, the First Thorn of Kurnoth.
When are you going to get treatment at one point, Gruff?
I still would like to do Tree Men. I've got a Tree Men from the Realm of Death idea in my head, and I know exactly how I want to do it, but I have too many other projects, and that's going to have to wait.
I mean, this looks like it would be a good addition, especially this box set. You could just buy this box set and then dead them up, pretty much.
Yep.
Yep. That's I mean, that would be perfect, wouldn't it? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Spot on perfect. Good God. Good God in heaven. Yeah, somebody somewhere has taken sculpting skills to a whole new level, because this thing is glorious. It's massive. It's insectoid. It's got a fair amount of fey to it. There's things like the tree roots of the guy himself is the curling around the shell of the big beetly creature. I mean, am I alone in thinking, Andy, that this is what the Crypt Lords from Warcraft 3 looked like when they were alive?
I was actually kind of thinking that, to be honest.
And to be honest with you, the way that Warcraft's gone, I'm more than happy for Warhammer to take some references.
Oh, God, yeah. I will say one thing that might be a detriment is, depending how the rider is cut and the pieces are cut, how easy is it to like parts build? Because I imagine if you could paint the bug on its own without the rider, that would make life a lot easier.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. The only way I think it could happen is if like around the knees are like they stick up, and then you have like the thighs and the torso. You can have those separately. Otherwise, yeah, like you say, the feet are intertwined with the boog, and I don't think you can do much about that.
No, you just have to sit there and whittle it away
And scream.
Yeah, scream so loudly.
Yeah,
I like the fact that you can see inside his tummy.
oh.
It just makes me so happy. Look at his little tummy.
You know what that needs in there? An Urgling.
It does. Yeah.
It's just a Nurgly with some strings just puppeting him from the inside. That would be amazing, actually. Yeah, I'm right behind that. But yeah, I mean, you go down to the detail shots of this guy, and there is so much lovely, lovely texture on him that. I mean, I like the fact he's even got that. Yeah.
Hang on.
Have you just seen his purple spinning tongue?
No. I have got a question.
Uh-huh.
How do you use a horn?
You blow it with your lips.
This was mentioned. Yeah, a few people have mentioned
Oh,
this. It's
people
like,
said that.
yeah, it was on the live streams. They were like, "How do you blow a horn without lips?"
Yeah. Like, it's funny with the undead because you're like, they don't even have lungs, but they've still got trumpets, not drums. But it's like,
Mhm.
this guy, he's full on got it to his face with no lips.
Well, yeah,
It's
he
basically
hasn't
an
got it to his
electronic horn.
mouth.
He's just faking.
I'm told by Big D it's magic. No, logic. It's stupid.
I like the fact that he doesn't have it to his lips; he has it to his actual face, which makes me think that he just reverberates his face into it.
Maybe
That's how
he
you-
doesn't. Maybe he doesn't have a nose, but he has a very, very flexible and adaptable nose.
Oh, he's actually got a trunk. Nelly the elephant left Garan and said goodbye to the circus.
Can I just say though, we have the perfect example of what we were talking about earlier when it came to the Necron cloak. Look at that and tell me that if you change the leaves for those kind of gold pressed latinum,
Oh
design,
yeah.
you can make
Yeah.
it work, and it looks like that would be maybe a couple of layers that you put on top of each other, but
Yep.
it looks beautiful and has all that depth.
Yeah.
Sure.
In fact, that done cold blue, you might even get away with that on the Necron.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can actually see that. I can see that working. Oh no, if you look at, there's a picture slightly down the page where you can kind of see some of his back, and there's a lot of the tree bark in there as well.
Ah, right, okay, cool.
Yeah, I really like the Sylvaneth. I really do, and honestly, it's one of those things where I keep thinking that I really want to do a Sylvaneth army, but it's trying to find a place and space and time to do one in.
I prefer it when they're mostly trees rather than
Yeah.
weird blue elves, because the weird blue elves give me a bit too much of the Idness vibe.
Yeah. They look too much like wet elves.
Yeah. Not that they're bad. It's just like if I want a Sylvaneth army, it would just give me tree people. Doopty doopty doop to tree people.
Darren on the the chat says he has a swarm of angry bees living in his head, and the trumpet thing picks up the noise of their buzzing. I mean, logic. Yep, that works for me.
I like the idea of a ranged tree unit with just like blow dart bee guns. Because that sounds horrifying. I would hate that. That would give me nightmares. Catapults full of beehives.
Just spitting wasps at you.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Trees with goo guns. Caking you in sticky honey.
Andy, has this swayed you? Would you like to get a Sylvaneth army at some point?
I mean, the things I'd like to do, but I have too many things that aren't painted, and I don't want to have too many unpainted. I already have too many unpainted things. I don't want to increase the problem.
And Adam, do you fancy ever doing a Sylvaneth from looking at this big, beautiful boy?
He is a textbook example of what GW should show off and go, hey, if painters want to get involved and just not play the game, but just paint beautiful models, this is it. And I think it works as an advertisement for that almost as much as anything else, because I think some people will be scared off by the complexities of this.
One of the cool things that they do is whenever they release a big model like this, is the week before its release, either between the pre-order and the actual release, is that they've sent out the models to a load of like ex-Golden Demon winners or something like that, and then on the community site they show off what they've done with it, and it's always a fascinating thing to look at. Always.
You always hate them too. Stupid Golden Demon winners.
Yeah, you gotta hate
super
them.
Talented.
Far too bloody talented for their own good.
Bastards. One day Grof's gonna get on like a Golden Demon winner for like an interview, and it's just gonna be like me in the background just going, bastard.
So how do you deal with all the hate that you get every day from...
What do you mean? What hate? Oh, from like me, personally.
Just me in general. I apologize for all the horrible noises there. I'm very thirsty.
That's okay.
Oh.
I'm thinking about skeletal murder hornets and whether they could be a part of GW in future. I mean, they'd be very, very small. Maybe mutated super hornets fired out of wooden bagpipes. I think it'd be brilliant.
I mean,
Scottish treemen do sound kind of fun if you put them in kilts and give them little hats. I like the idea of that. Yeah, the bowmen, right? You replace the bows with bagpipes. That's a great idea.
There you go.
I
Hey,
mean,
GW, I'm available for hire.
Yeah.
all right then, moving on. So next up we have even more Age of Sigmar. Would you believe it?
No.
Even more Age of Sigmar. That's three. And that's the book that these two big miniatures are coming out alongside, and that is book 3 of the Dawnbringer Crusade, The Long Hunt. I need to get book 2 actually. Book 1 was really good. So yeah,
book 2 out?
Book 2 is out. Yeah.
It's out. Okay.
Yeah. Came out the Saturday after I last saw you, Auntie.
Oh. Typical. Yeah.
But yeah, so the cool thing about these books is there's an on-running campaign that happens in the back of them for you to play alongside the Twin-Tailed Crusade, and it's a lot of fun actually, and I wouldn't mind having a run of it. What's quite cool as well is you get some armies of renown, which they may not be the full-blown dogs of war that we've had in the past, but it's still really cool to find that there's ways of bringing your Warcry and Underworlds guys into Games of Age of Sigmar in a way that works, rather than the kitty almost. Yeah, they're there to fill up some space that has happened in the past.
Half-assed kind of rules, kind of deal, right?
Yeah. So like the guys, what the hell are they called? The Droth Wranglers for the Flame Spires? No, the Fire Slayers. So instead of just having the Warcry box, you buy this box, which has twice as many models in it, and it's got a load of animals. And the idea is that they're a unit that tame the Fire Droths. So you have these mini Fire Droths in them, and they're just taking some stuff from the Lizardmen armies and just stuck them in there. It's a really cool idea, really simple, works brilliantly. Yeah, it's a shame that it's the Fire Slayers and not the fucking Scoven who've got it. But on the other hand, you also get the Gorgers from Warcry as a regiment of renown, and of course these can turn up in any army because they're a regiment of renown. They don't have to be in an Ogre army or a Fire Slayer army. They can be in anything that's of their choosing. God,
it looks so depressing seeing the them next to the ogres.
Oh, it really does, doesn't it? Those ogres are looking so old and so sad.
They're little. They just look like little balls of dough with their little arms tucked in as close to their bodies as they can get, just because of the age of them. Bless them, because they're rank and file, like you say.
It's almost like they're sort of reducing down into garden gnomes.
Oh, that's such a good idea for an army for them. Make little hats for them, little gnome hats. Replace their big meat cleavers with like fishing rods.
Yeah.
And stuff.
X-rated noddy. It'd be great.
you know the one that's pulling the barrel behind him. Turn him around and make the barrel a wheelbarrow.
Yep.
Oh, that's really fun.
That is such a damn good idea. I'm really into it.
Revenge of the Gnomes.
I might have to get me a unit of ogres at some point just to play around with.
Just to gnome them up.
Yeah, just to make them into the world's biggest gnomes.
I mean, there's Gorgers. They're gorgeous. They are amazing. I just love the one they pictured as well. Really dynamic. Yeah. I mean, it's weird because you've got like in that picture there, you've got the ogres which are just not. They just seem out of place. They're also so static as well. I mean, they literally are just sort of they're almost statuesque. And you'd think that anyone who wants to play those characters now would probably try and just change a Gorger and just do a little, a small amount of amends and actually make those their new models for this type of unit, because it's night and day the difference between them.
The majority of people I've seen who play ogres nowadays, they've done heavy custom work. Yeah, there's a guy on the Facebook, and he's been making ogre centaurs using the animal mounts as the heads.
Okay,
and they look insanely good. Like,
what's he use for the body? Is it still the same body?
So he either sculpts his own torso,
Okay.
and then puts it onto the they've got those like big saber-toothed bear things that they ride around
Oh
on.
yeah, yeah,
So he
yeah.
uses that with a humanist body, and then the animal head with the like either ogre arms or sculpted arms to get that big heft in there, and they look incredible. And one of the ones he did was he took the Thunder Tusk and made a centaur out of that, and it's fucking huge. And it's
It would be,
gorgeous.
Thunder
it's-
Tusks are massive, right?
Yeah, they're huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, just generally like really good work. But yeah, it's the problem that we keep seeing with Age of Sigmar, because so much stuff was carted over from the old world. There is a lot of really old miniatures, and as I said before, the Skaven. So when you see the new stuff, which has got so much dynamism to it, and so much movement, and there's so much going on with them, and then you see the old miniatures, you're like, yeah.
It's actually quite damaging by comparison. It's
Yes.
like if they'd held off and not done anything, would that be better? Because then you'd have an army that all feels the same. But
Yeah.
now you have the shiny models, and then do you want to get out the older stuff? I mean, obviously
But-
people have a lot of love for it, but it just
Yeah.
looks on the background. It looks odd.
It's a
Yeah.
good question. Do you parts meal it, or do you wait for a full line refresh? I wonder what's better marketing wise. Is it better to? I mean, granted, these guys are from Warcry, so they don't exactly. They're
Yeah.
not 100% counting, but it still
point.
kind of dribbles over. It's difficult. I don't know.
It is. I don't think there's any real straightforward answer to that one.
Yeah. Well, my answer is just ignore the Fire Slayers, pretend they don't exist, and let's focus on fixing some of the other armies and get out the Umbraneth, please.
Yeah.
You've been tickling that peen for the beginning of Age of Sigmar, and we've had one Underworld's army,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
One
we've had-
Underworld's force, and that's it.
Yeah. Oh, for God's sakes, nearly every Chaos book and core rule book has had rules of chaotic dwarfs. Not rules, sorry, it has mention of chaotic dwarfs.
Yeah.
And both Soul Wars and Era of the Beast have an island of the Fimir. So
I remember that when that first came up, and you're like,
Yeah.
what? He's so annoyed.
I lost my shit on that one, like, because they had that in the Soul Wars book, and then the fucking Era of the Beast trailer that they did, where you had the creatures in the woods in the swamps, and I was like, no,
And
I
GW
can't
went,
be that lucky. And then they went no, and released an army which has been the fastest I've gone cold on something I've ever experienced.
Yeah, the Cruel Boys are another one I'd personally just pretend we didn't do.
So Nick Davidson on the chat says, not sure how they do a Fimir army these days, to be honest.
Cool, in a really neat way.
You basically you really push into the Army of the Mist and the Celtic mythology that they come from. The thing that everybody always says about the Fimir, that was something that was in Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay First Edition, right? They don't do that anymore. They haven't done that in a long time. Since like 1994, they lay eggs. That's been a thing. They don't do the other thing at all anymore. I'm not going to go into details what that is. If you know what it is, you know why I'm not going into detail on it. It was a bad idea, and it was vetoed and got rid of very quickly. So you just run in.
I wouldn't say it's a bad idea. I just don't think it's an idea that you want to have for a game that can be targeted towards kids.
Yeah, it's not something
because it's one of those mean-spirited fantasy aspects, which I think has its place depending on the setting. And I think for the setting back then, it was fine. But in 2023, it being more open and needing a bigger audience, it's probably something that people don't want. So yeah, just probably change it to eggs. Yeah, eggs are fine. They're lizard creatures anyway, whatever.
Yeah. And then you tie that into you tie the Fimir into being creatures of mist. So there's a fog of war around them. So things take like movement penalties or shooting penalties. You have them appear. They can a unit can just appear somewhere.
Would you have them work kind of like Gene Stealer cults, like that mechanic? You know how they can pop up from anywhere.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That type of thing would work really well. But also, I'd give them. They would have a lot of natural magic. So you're slowing people down by making creepers trip people up, and that type of thing. So there would be the magic and tactics would be very not offensive. They would be all maneuverable type thing, trying to put the enemy on the back foot, and then they get hit by the Fimir themselves, who are just big muscle boys who just hit you with a massive hammer.
Bonk.
So there wouldn't be a huge amount of long range weapons for them. It would just be you're trying to disorganize your opponent as much as possible until you get into combat, and then you just start smashing shit out of them.
Yeah, I guess is the idea that they're not using them because they look like lizards and they don't want to blend like lizard men and that together.
No,
the
it's
idea there.
The problem is that
Looking too similar.
The Fimir have got a really bad reputation because of what they were, and the internet does not forget, so to speak.
Ah, okay.
And
could you make them more like the Skeksis, like not all lizards but birdie lizards, and you could kind of go down that kind of ornate route with the big robes and stuff?
Forge World did a Fimir noble, the Fimmerak noble and the Fimmerak warriors, and they're really good. There was a lot of dark crystal to them, to be honest with you. So they didn't look like the Hero Quest super burly lizard men. There was a bit more of an avian nature to them. So whilst they were still big, they were like weirdly long-limbed and things like that, which worked really well. And it's a shame that they didn't keep that look, because it did look fantastic. It looked absolutely superb. And they were meant to release a witch as well, but that never happened. And then they went away. And do you know when they went away, Andy? Do you know when they stopped selling? They stopped selling the week after I was at Warhammer World for the first time, and I bought a load of Fimir.
You bought them out of the stock. That was it. You ruined their business.
Yeah, they were probably just like, well, we'll keep selling these until they're all sold out. Ah, shit.
You crashed the market.
Nice.
But I do like the idea of like a Fimir. It's like Skavelings, yes. But yeah, right. So yeah, totally went off on a tangent there. So yeah, the Dawn of War, no, Don't Bring a Crusade. Book 3 is coming out, and so far these books have been really, really good.
How many are there? 4, 5 in total?
I think there's gonna be 4.
4. Okay, so the last one we don't know about, and it's coming.
No, yeah. So we don't know what that one's gonna be yet, but
probably Chaos, right? No, we've had Chaos. We had the Chaos one.
Yep. Yeah. I don't know
what was the last one?
So then you had
It was the Goblin one, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the Troll King.
Yeah. Okay. So we've had Destruction. So then logically the last one should be Death.
Yeah.
If they're doing like one per faction kind of deal, that might be Ghoul stuff, right? So because we've seen like the weird image where we saw the back of the standard Ghoul units who we clearly saw were completely new. So maybe it's going to be related to that.
That would be really cool, actually, if the Ghouls got a bit of a rerun.
Yeah, they need it too. To be fair,
Jesus Christ, they do need it.
Yeah, so we know that Ghouls are getting a new unit, like I say, because we saw it. Well, we deduced from that one image. If they get anything else, who knows? But I guess the last one might be undead, and I'll be happy with that. More dead. Yeah, I'm a dead race. I'm all for the dead. Give me more. Living hater here.
Would you prefer if you got like new Ghoul stuff and it was only new Ghoul stuff, or a smattering of like new Ghoul, new Vampire, new Bone Guy?
The Asiarch Bone Reapers. I don't really care about the Asiarch Bone Reapers.
No.
I guess I'd like a bit of everything, because a little smattering of this and that is probably the best, because it keeps a lot of people happy. Rather than just like a focused one person or one group, I suppose, because the Ghouls are probably smaller in terms of the amount of people that play Ghouls, I would guess.
Mm-hmm. But it's annoying as well, because the Ghouls have got some of the best background in the game. They've got such a wonderful, wonderful background, but the miniatures just disconnect from that so badly.
They'll look really good when Cities of Sigmar come out.
Yep.
And then you just bash them with Ghoul heads.
Yeah,
and then they'll be cool again.
absolutely.
Or will they be cool again?
Would they
Yeah?
be too cool for Ghoul?
No, Mr. White doesn't like that one.
No,
No.
too
Alright.
cool for school.
Maybe,
Scooby Doo in
yeah.
the Ghoul School.
Sorry, the last 20 minutes, I've just got some filling back into my jaw, so I'm just here making some gurning faces whilst you guys just keep talking.
A pup named Scooby Ghoul.
Scooby Doo and the Loch Ghoul monster.
Oh yeah.
Right, moving on.
Yeah.
So, there's some new Eldar coming out, some Striking Scorpions, and also a new version of Kill Team, but also some Striking Scorpions.
Oh.
I got really excited about this because I do love the Striking Scorpions. Of all the Eldar stuff, they are my favorite. Yeah, they are just so cool. Yeah, I'm really happy.
Don't like
nice.
the scouts?
Yeah, we'll just put them over there, and
Yeah,
we'll just
that's fine. Yeah, it's
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I also like the idea of this, that it's a kill team that's over a sea.
Why
Yeah,
do you like that?
I don't know. It's just you don't hear much about stuff like this, do you? It's so the Gallowfall crashed into a planet, and it dropped into the water, and then these like rigs have turned up all around it. Yeah, everyone's like building these rigs to get to the crashed ship, and all the kill teams are getting out, and you're playing over like basically these big oil rigs over the sea, and that's just cool. That's just cool. Am I alone on that?
You might be.
Okay, fair enough. I don't know. There's something about oil rigs that I've always found really cool, and fascinating and terrifying at the same time. So
Actually, there's because I was trying to think the scout uniforms. Because initially I thought that they were just wearing big, grey, fleecy pajamas underneath, and then stuck some power, shielding over the top, and that was their uniform. But actually, there is an element where they could look like the sort of dry suit, industrial stuff that riggers in wet weather and heavy wet weather conditions would wear. So that kind of ties into it.
I can see them being done up as like boiler suits.
Yeah.
You do them up as bright orange boiler suits, and then give them all masks, and you've got Slipknot.
Fantastic.
Which I'm kind of now into these scouts.
In fact, I think the guy who's probably the most forward motion of all of them, with a gun and a blade off to one side, is clearly the lead singer, because he's literally shouting into a microphone.
The whole thing I think is sick. The whole thing I think is sick. Enemy, show me what you want to be. I can handle anything, even if I can't handle you.
Exactly.
Yeah. No one expected some Slipknot lyrics tonight. But yeah, I mean the scouts they're fine. It's weird actually. The scouts look weirdly dated to me. I can't.
What about them makes you think they're dated?
I don't know. There's something about the face sculpts. Like, so you see the guy with the chainsaw and the beard, right?
Yeah.
He looks modern.
Yeah.
Then if you move on to some of the other ones, some of the faces and the way that they're standing, they look like they're actually from about 10 years ago.
Haven't we recently had new scouts as well shown? Didn't we talk about like new scouts last month or the month before?
Yeah, so there were scouts that were coming out with the Space Marine Codex.
That's right. And I don't think these look significantly cooler than them. You know how usually we get these kind of units that kind of cross over, but the ones in these sets are usually way more characterful and they look neat. These just kind of look like, this is scouts, innit? Yeah, more of them.
It's almost like they flipped the two. They say who's the coolest squad, and of scouts, and they put them in that release, and then left the other squad for this one.
Yeah, well, yeah. I think the only thing that kind of goes against that is the guy specifically with the bazooka, because I don't know how often you can take a scout with a bazooka. Is that a?
Not sure.
I don't know.
The new codex, so I don't know. Although, if you're on an oil rig, is a bazooka a good weapon to have?
Does it make things go boom?
It makes everything go boom. That's the problem.
Does it kill the Xenos?
And you standing on top of the Xenos.
But it kills the Xenos, yes?
Yes.
It is better to die for the Emperor than to live for yourself, Gruff.
I want this guy holding the rocket launcher just to go real steady. There's a place on the back of the net. They'll never know what hit them. Sniper mode.
Meanwhile, his colleague has gone, no, I know the safety procedure. I'm not even using my gun. I'm going to use 2 fingers and a harsh stare through my Cyclops mask. Because he's literally pointing and just going, you, out of line.
Out of line, mate.
I'm not having that. Well, I'm here. Why is there this small piece of rock just sat on my base? I don't understand it.
What I want to see now is him with just like feed him to the pigs, Errol, as the tagline. Possibly too deep a cut. Anyway, so should we talk about the Scorpions? Because the Scorpions are ace. Like,
Yes.
they are really, really cool. And I'm going to say something here which I never thought I'd ever say, and that is, God, there's just not enough masked heads in this. There's too many bare heads. I don't like it when Eldar don't have masks.
2, 3, 4. 4.
Yep.
There are 4 out of
Yep.
quite a few.
Yeah, too many. I like my Eldar to be. There's something about Eldar when you can see the faces, they look too human. But when they've just got the helmets on, because the helmets have always got that big sweeping look to them. Yeah, the helmets are always like longer than they should be. It always makes me think like, oh, there's something alien and weird under there.
I guess it's quite hard to sculpt Eldar because they're meant to look human-ish but have weird proportions to the face. Like,
Yeah.
And if you do that, then people are going to go, "Oh, the proportions on that face are a bit shit, aren't they?" Maybe that's the reason they've made them look like humans, so that they look normal. Because I think back to old Warhammer edition Eldar elf faces, and they're a bit weird because of the way they were molded, but they looked alien. They didn't look human. But that's I guess that's because that was the best that they could sculpt.
Absolutely,
They did look different, and I don't think in the digital age you could do that without people complaining. Maybe people just have the expectations that they have to look human as well. Elves are just pointy ears, so maybe that's the thing as well.
I think if you try to make them too inhuman, you start hitting that uncanny valley with digital sculpting, and it starts to look a bit
weird.
Yeah, it looks a bit off.
Yeah,
it ends up looking like a bad sculpt rather than a good sculpt.
I'm sure during the showing of this and the reveal that they said something along the lines. I can't see it in the article here, but that this was meant you could use these sculpts and these figures and sort of make them into other factions, and like they were designed that you could swap bits around. I don't know if there's anything. I can't see anything on the article, but I'm sure they said that there was a degree of like part swapping ability between this and some of the other Eldar figures.
Are we surprised? Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay.
I'd be surprised at that, considering it's a kill team, and kill team are usually built
to
be one thing.
I'll do a little bit of research.
Yeah, but I mean, as standalone figures, they are great, and I'm all in for it. There's something about Kill Team over the last couple of releases. They've really hit the nail on the head on the idea of what to do with these kind of games.
It almost feels like they've got the Underworld sculptors, but on a good game.
Yeah.
That's a really good way of putting it.
Yeah. I'll never let that go about how much I dislike how Underworld plays. Sorry, Underworld fans. I just don't like it. Just don't.
No, it's not. It ain't great.
Between this, Underworlds, and Warcry, I think they have some of the most interesting sculpts.
Yeah,
on the smaller scale, because you can't do big things for this for obvious reasons. But in terms of just like unit by units, these just have like units that you look at and you go, damn, that's really nice. These are the units that I think a person that doesn't play games but wants to paint purely would get. That would be my recommendation. I don't want to learn the rules for a game. I just want to paint cool minis. I'd be like, I'll get these kill teams then. That'll do you. You'll be happy.
Yeah. No,
and Blood Bowl as well. But Blood Bowl's a specific kind of more cartoony style, I suppose.
Blood Bowl's got its own look and feel and everything.
Yeah. How long do you think it'll take for Striking Scorpions to make its way to the, a normal unit, shall we say? Because it would suck for people to only be able to get Striking Scorpions this way, which will be the case, granted, for A year or more, I would imagine.
2033.
10 years, you say?
Yes. Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. That's my guess.
I'm thinking
I
if
mean,
that's unreasonable, I'm like, no, maybe not.
To be fair, if the next couple of kill team things is you got striking scorpions, and the next one you got warp spiders, and the next one you got swooping hawks,
Never happened.
then you've just filled out the Eldar army really easily by releasing kill team boxes,
Yeah.
which people would actually get behind, I think.
No, I would agree.
I will say though,
Sorry, it's funny. Your audio cut out for a second, and I almost thought you said, and after that we get Tony Hawk's. And I was like, what?
I'd love a kill team of Tony Hawk.
would anyone recognize it as Tony Hawk's? Because apparently people don't recognize Tony Hawk as Tony Hawk.
It's true.
Tony Hawk's pretty old now, so you would kind of be like, who's this weird old dude on a skateboard doing sick kickflips?
My favorite story of that is when he went to rent a car and the guy just went, "Oh, Tony Hawk. Hey, you kind of look like Tony Hawk." Yeah, I get that a lot. But not for a second did the guy renting him the car think that he was the Tony Hawk. It was just
why would Tony Hawk rent a car? That's probably his mind. It's like, it's Tony Hawk, isn't it?
Yeah, just honestly, follow Tony Hawk's Twitter. It's just brilliant. It's so much fun. It's
Tony
just like
Hawk.
it's just this continuing story of Tony Hawk not being recognized and being mistaken for Tony Hawk.
He is becoming a man out of time.
Yeah. I love the fact that people keep telling him he looks like himself. It's great. However, so there is one downside to Kill Team, which I think we need to cover, and that is that this Kill Team has less scenery.
Okay.
Right? So you get
Is it a similar price though? Is it cheaper?
yeah, same kind of price. I think it's a little bit cheaper. I'll be honest with you. I think it's a little bit cheaper. So you get the 10 Striking Scorpions and 10 Space Marine Scouts, plus the what do you call it? The little bits of scenery. So the 6 pieces of salvation rig apparatus, right? So
Are they knitting machines? They look like something you'd use on a loom.
Well, I was going to say, you see the big one with the wheel and the Adeptus Mechanicus skull in the middle? Right.
Yeah.
Tell me that's not the 40k version of the Loom of Fate from Wanted.
I can see that, yeah.
Yeah. Or if you look at it another way, it's like a steampunk-powered Stargate. But then you get the actual main scenery separately as its own thing.
That's a bit annoying.
Now, you do get more in that box for the scenery, for the actual base and board and everything, than you would have got in the thing, but it's been split into 2 things.
Yeah.
I can see why they're having to do it, because inflation in this country is fucking rampant.
Yeah.
But it's not a good thing. Yeah. Because obviously it's to stop them from having to release a £200 Kill Team box.
Yeah.
Which is where these things are going to end up being, I think, if they have these big boxes like that. So doing it this way, I can see the reason behind it, but I'm not a fan. You'd think there'd be... Well, basically, my thought is, well, why aren't we not going back to fucking cardboard?
Oh, we can't do that now. I think we're past that stage. I don't think GW want to go back to cardboard. I think if you went back to cardboard, people would kick off.
They might, but...
Maybe furious.
Why not a plastic cardboard equivalent? So you could build, I don't know, you would just have the, and it's plastic, so it's not resin, so you're not so worried about, deformation. But you could build a couple of larger pieces out of single, single pieces of plastic in the way that you used to with the cardboard, because you could then have all the detailing on one side, and it would allow somebody a cheaper price point to build something substantial, because these are nice. And I'm looking as well, and it's like they've only actually pictured 5 of the 6 pieces, but I think the other piece is actually trying to work out what the other piece is actually. But yeah, it does seem like they're doing they're kind of seem to be stuck now because they do these hyper detailed small pieces. That's going to be a box set, or these large, expanses. Why not have something that you can kind of fill the gap with? Something large that's just made up of a couple of pieces of plastic. It's a little bit cheaper, a little bit more economical as well for GW to produce, and you can even make a thing of it, like it's like the old cardboard stuff but better. Something where they could sell it like that.
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, Big Swig D in the chat says, "Are you suggesting perhaps plastic bulkheads and supports with cardboard for walls and doors?" Yes, that's exactly what I mean.
Yeah.
That old Necromunda style way of getting Necromunda, Gorkamorka. Although now I know how badly Gorkamorka sold, perhaps not. Jesus. Oof.
The idea of how the card worked, at least. I mean,
Yeah.
there are like third parties that do entire sceneries that are card slots together. They're really good hard cardboard that they slot together. They look really nice. I think if GW went down that route, the best way to sell that to people maybe would be to be kind, and you filter it in through like free scenery pieces in White Dwarf like they used to.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And you see what the reaction is. So people go, "Oh, this is a good quality product. I like this." And then it's like, you want more? It'd be cheaper than you could buy the plastic, or you could have the cheaper cardboard version.
The way
and
I
it
would
give you
do
an
it
option.
is you release cardboard scenery with the bulkheads and everything in the main 40k box, the main kill team box, however you want to look at it. And then you have the plastic stuff separate. That if you want it, you can go and get it.
Yeah.
Because that just brings the price down on these big boxes.
Yeah.
Because the amount of plastic that you get in these boxes for scenery and things, there's a hell of a lot you get.
It's a little daunting, and I think for new players, you want to paint a wall.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
You're a 5-year-old. It's like, Dad, you know what? I want to learn to paint today a bulkhead. It's like, don't lie to me. There'll be one child out there who loves painting walls. His dad's already got him in the painting business, but that ain't me as a 5-year-old. I'm like, no, sir.
No, I want my cardboard house that I put together free from White Dwarf. God damn it.
Yeah.
So it's also been said in the chat that one of the reasons that they're doing this is because a lot of folks were complaining during the Gallo Dark releases about getting more and more terrain that they already had. All right,
which one was Gallo Dark?
Gallo Dark was the last season of Kill Team, so you had 3 releases based on on the spaceship.
Who was in it? Because I'll probably be the best reminder. Who was in Gallo Dark?
Voton, Necrons.
Space okay.
Marines,
yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So it was all. It was a really cool look. Actually, it's one of those ones I always wanted to get hold of, but they just passed me by because I could not.
They work well with the jelly poops, don't they?
Yes, big time.
Yeah. Does Mr. White know who the jelly poops is? You probably don't. The Galapox.
To be honest, the two things that I was thinking of at this moment is, one, if you have so much of this stuff strewn around your place, all built up, and you have far more scenery than you ever need to use for the game. It just reminds me of the Dozers and Fraggle Rock with their constructions all over the place. But the other thing that's actually slightly worrying is, I said earlier that they mentioned 6 pieces of Salvation rig. Yeah, there are only the 5 that are pictured, and there are only 5 in the large picture. So I don't know.
I think that's incorrect. I think you see where the sniper guy is, Mr. White.
Yeah.
Is that bit of wall in front of him the last bit?
That's what I'm thinking. That must be it, because it's the only embellished piece of wall.
Because, like you said, otherwise there's only 5 pieces on there.
Yeah. So it must be that. Must be. But
because I don't think it's the giant orb thing with the blue balls in the far background. I think that's a separate thing.
Yeah.
That might just be like the background painting effectively. I don't know.
Let's see what happens with this one. But yeah, you could be right there. But then again, that same bulkhead thing is in the bottom picture with the main set, and they've actually got a series of them.
Oh yeah, you're right. Then I don't know.
I've only just seen that, so I wonder if they've just made a typo.
It'd be even worse if you only get 5 in it. Then it's like,
my guess would be that there's a
conspiracy.
Maybe you get one oil rig worker covered in oil, like he's just in a hard hat. He looks like Spike and Sparkplug from Transformers.
That'd be so good.
Well, I guess it would be that there's a piece that they haven't photographed for whatever reason.
Maybe, yeah. It might not be done, I suppose, potentially. It's either not painted, it's not rendered, or like you said, Mr. White, it's a typo. Could be
It's
anything.
a pipe. It's a pipe. It's just a random piece of pipe.
It's just one pipe.
One pipe, just in the middle of a walkway. Tripping hazard.
Right, should we move on?
Yeah.
Because we've got a couple of bits to just get through. Warhammer the Old World. Now,
Woo!
no, this is coming, and I've got something interesting to say about this. But first, let's talk about the miniatures. First of all, there's a Bretonnian Pegasus that can be built 3 different ways, and holy mother of Christ, does that look good. That's, honestly, Games Workshop right now are doing the best horses they've ever done. That's a sentence I didn't expect to say. And but yeah, you get the you can either build it as a baron, a duke, or a standard bearer, and he is surprisingly nice.
You know the worst thing about the because there was a few different Bretonnian things that came out as along with this. The worst thing about this is they were like, here's some really cool new models, and there's like knights on foot. We're doing brand new models for them, and it's like, oh yes, there's also peasants. It's like, oh, new peasants. No. No, the poor aren't allowed to have new models. They can be poor forever. And there's another is it a Pegasus Knight who again is really old, and you know, like you said, we've got the new one, the one with this. A lot of these have silly hats, by the way. We need to talk about the silly hats, and then you just kind of look at the old Pegasus Knights, and you go, oh no, they're the really old horses as well.
The ones that look like dogs.
Oh god,
yeah. Games Workshop really have like upped their game on making horses, like, haven't they?
Yeah,
which is good, but it's also bad in other ways. It's such a leap, but
yeah, it's some of the older miniatures really. I mean, they are
the
old.
trebuchet. the trebuchet. You could make a new model, and that would sell because it's a trebuchet, right? And trebuchets are cool. They're really fun. And they're historically accurate as well. So you could either get people on the historical aspect of it, or just like you could go crazy with a big brand new one made of like marble or something crazy that looks really fun. But then it's just like that. It's just these old ones with some, again, poor people working them who are small, disformed. Maybe that's the idea. The poor are meant to be all shriveled and misformed. It's like, oh well, there's, you know, they're out of proportion. So were the original models, so that's fine. That's fine.
I can see my equivalent. Actually, he stood right beside the trebuchet. He's just stood there, axe or whatever on the ground. Does not give one shit. Does not want to be there. Has had enough of everything. And he's not glaring at the trebuchet. He's glaring at the viewer. He's glaring at you.
Can you believe this shit? No new model. Bullshit.
Yeah, they retired me like 10 years ago, and now look, I'm back again. Oh.
Yeah, I've come back out of retirement for this shit. Can you believe it? Fuck.
Spent half my career sculpting stone, and then the rest of it just throwing it randomly at people.
I swear to God, you've got the trebuchet, and you scrolled up just a little bit, and then you've got the new
lady,
boys.
the handmaiden. The one that gets me is the handmaiden. It's like, yep, that's some modern GW sculpting right there.
Yeah, it looks great.
It is incredible.
And who's the other new lady? Oh, the handmaiden lady without horse. Yeah, she looks fucking great.
Yep.
I will say flower, though, which is a bit lame, but you know, whatever.
I will say yes. The peasants they look old, and yeah, absolutely. But the peasants with the hand weapons, the fact that they're being led by Dr. Robotnik makes me incredibly happy.
Oh my God, he is. That's pretty cool.
That's Jim Carrey's Dr. Robotnik right there.
Hang on. Are the poor only allowed one fat man in the regiment? Each, like the bowmen have one fat man, and the men at arms have one fat man. It's like the mascot. We're allowed one tubby boy, and that's all.
It's a legal requirement.
He will eat our dead. That's his purpose. For every man that falls, he must eat them. Clean the battlefields.
But in all honesty, you can see why there is so much old stuff being recycled, because it's there, and it needs to. I don't think. How do I put this? I don't think Games Workshop are as sure of the old world as you might think they are.
No, I think it's probably tentative, right? And they're
Yeah.
testing the waters with this. If this is really well, they'll be like, all right, new stuff. Is that why they started with Bretonia? Because they're like, Bretonia?
Yeah.
Safe.
Well, it's why it's Bretonian Tomb Kings, isn't it?
Yeah. Tomb Kings are fairly safe because they're newer, relatively newer than the Men at Arms and stuff. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. It's a shame that the old Pegasus are staying because they really are. Woof. I mean, they're great for the time, and if you're wanting to do an old Hammer army, they look fantastic for that. But compared to like the new Pegasus and the new Knights, jeez Louise,
how good are the Knights of the Realm on foot for rank and file?
Oh, they're great.
Yeah. For rank and file, who are not allowed to pose in crazy dynamic poses, they're pretty dynamic.
Yeah, there's a lot of movement to them. You know, you can see them trudging forward. I actually really like these guys, and I think there's a lot of stuff. Honestly, if you got these guys, put ghoul heads and ghoul hands on them, I'd be into that.
I mean, I'd be tempted to just lop the heads off and make these into Graveguard, because they've got better bodies for Graveguard than the current Graveguard. They'll probably be better proportioned as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Just the thing being said there that most of the older Bretonians are what, 2004, whilst Tomb Kings were 2010. Yeah.
Oh my god.
That would be about right.
Who's turning to dust now, Bretonia?
That would be me. You know, the Bretonians got their line refresh when I was out, and I've been back in for 10 years. So, oh, thereabouts. Yeah, that's that's a horrifying thought. I mean, honestly, Bretonians, they look great. Even the older ones they still hold up really well, apart from the Pegasus Knights.
They're the worst.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the trebuchet itself, it looks really good still. It's just a shame that it's going to be resin. Because I don't want to. I can't imagine putting that together in resin.
No.
Yeah.
I just can't imagine putting things together in resin in general. I just don't want to. I just don't want to do it.
Some stuff's good. I mean, the days of fine. Oh, absolutely, yeah. The days of fine cast are long gone. You know, they have been removed and sent back into the depths of history because fine cast was terrible. Modern GW resin is fine, and it's easy enough to work with as long as you know what you're doing. You super glue and a little bit of water, and you are golden. You know, you're going to be fine.
So, from a marketing aspect, do you think, advertising wise, that you show off all of the Tomb King stuff on Halloween?
Yes, absolutely.
Ooh.
That would be a brilliant idea, which is why they won't do it.
Because what else kind of Halloween-y themed do you have for Halloween? Probably nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the ghouls that we've been talking about today. Maybe them. But if you want like an easy, just like, here's something Halloween, here's the stuff for the old world. The old world's coming out summer next year or something.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever they release games.
But no. So we know when Old World's coming out.
Oh, do we? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
February 2024.
Ooh. Is this an officially infoed source? Or is this like...
This was the official Warhammer Instagram account for about 20 seconds.
Oh.
So it came up saying, get ready for February 2024, and it had a big Old World picture and then information, and then it was just gone.
Peachy hacked into the account.
Someone somewhere
February.
made someone somewhere made a boo-boo.
Yeah.
But some people managed to get screenshots of it very, very, very quickly. But it wasn't there for long. And so we know it's going to be February 2024.
Damn. Cool. All right, Big D, you got to save up. I get 2 boxes.
Big Swinging D has probably got all of this stuff, plus the stuff that hasn't been released yet in boxes somewhere.
Oh, he's sitting on a gold mine, guaranteed.
Yeah. Big Swinging D could probably buy Thailand at this point in time.
What does Mr. White think of this Bretonian release then? Are there any things that stand out to you particularly that you're like, ooh, that's pretty?
I think it is pretty. But it's one of those things to me where I can admire them but it doesn't click anything with me.
Is
It's
it just
like
because of the army, the style kind of thing? Is it
I
something
think
else?
it is, yeah. And the thing is, I worry. When you see stuff like that, there's people listening that absolutely adore this.
Yeah.
And so I'm not taking anything away from that. It's like some of those sculpts are incredible. And they really are, I think, some of the cutting edge stuff that's being sculpted and produced by GW. It's just this particular niche is not my thing. That said, I really do hope that they make a thing of this. I hope they lean into it. I hope they find a way as well to expand the line out as well and get as many different flavors into that sort of that game as possible as quickly as possible, because I think whereas you have 40K kind of has it easy because books and other things are really taking up the slack, and animations as well are really filling in for stuff. This needs good quality, amazing models to come out constantly, bang, 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 and build it up. Otherwise, it'll stagnate. So I hope there's more of this, but it's just not my thing.
I think this is going to be a very slow stream release, purely because they are not going to want to rush it, and because, as I say, I think they're very tenuous about what this is going to be and if it's going to work or not.
It's stupid. They should have capitalized when Total War Warhammer 2 hit its peak.
Agreed.
They should have announced it then. They didn't. And
Absolutely
Total War Warhammer 3 has not done desperately well. And CA, the people that keep producing the Total War series, is making a lot of fuck ups. They're not making the fans happy at the moment. So the interest in Total Warhammer is going to go down, and this will certainly, even if you are fully into GW, it will affect the potential people who could have came in. Because all you had to do was say Total Warhammer 3. This is out, and we're also, if you want to buy these models, you can come to our store and buy these as well, or you can go to our website and buy these models that you love to play in the video game, have your own, and play the physical version of it. And they've missed out on that opportunity.
Absolutely.
Let's said though, how many media could you also say that with about other elements of 40K? They never seem to follow up.
No,
with the like, here's a game out. You're playing these characters. Hey, do you want to play those characters for real? Here they are. I've never seen advertisements like that are based at Joe Public going, hey, you enjoy this? Well, here it is.
That's the problem. Yeah, they're never. The closest thing we've got is Space Marine 2 is coming out, and we've got that small game with Titus, but that is not being advertised to people. It's being advertised to Games Workshop people, like you said, Mr. White.
Yeah.
And it should be out. I don't know whether they need a TV advert, because I don't know if that's the best way to do it. But you need to get something out there to show to people, whatever the best way to get this stuff out to people is.
The biggest failure,
usually.
The biggest failure of Warhammer Plus was that they made it themselves.
Yeah,
Warhammer Plus should have been on Amazon. It should have been on Netflix. Anything, because then you're not just the people who are already into Warhammer are going to follow you no matter where you are. But to make this we know that Warhammer's had exponential growth over the last few years, which is brilliant. But in order to really capitalize on that, you need to be getting yourself into places where you're not normally seen. And they're doing that with the games that are going into bookshops and stuff like that. That's fine. That's brilliant. But if you had a Warhammer series, we know that there's the Henry Cavill thing happening on Amazon at some point,
Possibly.
but that is years away, if at all, if it actually happens. Yeah, so we can't ever rely on that until we see it, until it's out. If they were doing these animations, it should have been on Netflix, like Love, Death, and Robots.
Yeah.
It should be on Amazon, because they're signing a thing with Amazon. Move Warhammer Plus over to Amazon. I
wouldn't be surprised if a couple of years down the line, I wouldn't be surprised if that started to happen with maybe a single project going over or something like that, or a premium series or something. I think there would be, especially if this series gets there, and that's a huge if. Despite all the money, I think, because GW are going to be very precious about their IP, and they've seen Rings of Power, and they've seen what happens when it's just misjudged. You know.
Yeah.
But they also know that as soon as this is the thing that gets me, when one series is on Amazon, and then you're going, by the way, tune in for exclusive content on Warhammer Plus.
Mhm.
You're gonna get Joe Public going, yeah, but I can see the big series on Amazon.
Yeah.
And that will be the point when GW has to decide, well, which way do we do this? Is it like, do we show repeats of the Amazon series on Warhammer Plus, or do we just cart the whole thing over to Amazon?
Yeah, you can't show the stuff that's made by Amazon and Warhammer Plus because it was made by Amazon.
Yeah.
From a legal standpoint, Amazon they may not own the rights to the names and the titles and all that type of thing, but they own the footage that they have shot, and they cannot just go, Games Workshop won't be able to go, oh, and we'll put this on Warhammer Plus. So you've already split your audience between two separate things.
Exactly.
Yeah, and at the end of whatever, I don't know, Inquisitor, Sherlock Clouseau series that Henry Cavill ends up making, you could have, Amazon Plus, fuck that. Warhammer Plus, tune in for Hammer and Bolter, Inquisitor, that type of thing. But you're absolutely right, because what people are going to do is just go, I wonder if I can torrent it somewhere. Because you're adding on to the biggest problem that's happening in streaming media at the moment is they've reinvented the fucking cable package, and now people can't afford to have multiple things.
It's also as well on Warhammer Plus. Would you want to say to people, hey, our Henry Cavill series is on Amazon, go check it out, knowing that people will go, okay, well, I'll stop the subscription with you and I'll go over there. And likewise, would you want Amazon to then start going, hey, there's this other subscription service, so if you want to switch off your Prime account and go and switch on Warhammer Plus, it's a really odd situation. I think the only thing the workaround I have is that there are a lot of films and studios that have second release deals and third release deals.
Yeah.
So there is a genuine possibility that Prime shows it first and second or whatever, and then at some point, actually GW does get a run because it's as part of the contract.
Yeah.
And because Amazon are so hungry for IP, and GW is arguably one of the biggest independents still left in the game when it comes to this sort of stuff.
Well, one of the three successful businesses post Brexit. There's Games Workshop, OnlyFans, which was a bit of a shock, and some company I'd never heard of.
Yeah. And it's fascinating to see how that all plays out. But that'll be for maybe another talk down the line where we talk business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's one of those things where right now is the time to change how you're doing this, how you're putting media out, because the best way to put it is until this year I had no issue with having a yearly Warhammer Plus subscription, right? But the way that this year has rolled out, the miniature isn't what I wanted, but it worked for Andy because Andy got it.
Yay!
There's no voucher this year. It's a merchandise voucher, which no, that's not really going to work for me, unfortunately. So right now, I'm, for the first time in the 3 years, this is the third year I've had it, I'm sitting here at a loss with it. I don't feel like I've got my money's worth out of it. So unless next year really does kick it up a level or two, I don't see me continuing it next year.
There's something weird. I'm gonna just move this over a little bit to the Transformers world. But so you've got you had a situation with Hasbro Pulse. So Hasbro, obviously, small event, their thing, and they bought over Thu from obviously YouTube.
Yeah.
And so,
good old Thu, yeah.
So for those who don't know, a well-known Transformers YouTuber who, in terms of YouTuber size, is infinitesimal in the big scheme of YouTube, but in the world of Transformers, quite big. And he's then doing the same thing he does on YouTube. He's doing it for Hasbro Pulse. And that's great for Hasbro Pulse because people who've not seen his YouTube will go, oh, that's good. It counts as content. One of the problems that Warhammer Plus has is that, so many people have said, but you've got all these great creators on YouTube already. Why do we need Warhammer Plus?
Yeah.
And then the other thing it said as well was, well, you can't bring them over. You can't start doing stuff on Warhammer Plus because you've got it on YouTube already. And it's like, yeah, but if it's exclusive stuff and they don't talk about that thing on YouTube, and then maybe they do it for Warhammer Plus. And if you've not got any other content coming out, why not build a library? Why not pay these people? Why not get them on board? Why not create something? I still think that because I've got friends who at the moment have been, let's just say they're pitching and creating ideas for other IP, which is out there and pretty much burnt up, used up. And I keep saying to them,
Is it the Sega Mega Drive game Shakan? Because
No.
I've got ideas.
no. But
Okay.
I wish I keep telling them just pitch 40K because my goodness, they need it. They need ideas like this, and you could pitch 3-4 shows, and yeah, some of them you could find similar on YouTube. But the fact is that Warhammer Plus hasn't got anything else at the moment. It needs more input, and if people like you who were prepared to give it a chance are turning off, I don't see new people flocking to this.
Mm.
Also, because I'm sorry, I can see if I want Necron animated goodness, I can still find that on YouTube. It's not difficult to find right now. So why, where's the exclusivity? And then when this Amazon show breaks, that's it. People will consider Prime the home of Warhammer because guess what? They'll do a follow-up show. They'll do a behind-the-scenes 5-minute documentary. They'll do interviews with cast and crew. They'll do an expanded look. They might even do a quick tie-in or a follow-up because spin-off series are everything. And then nobody's going to consider Warhammer Plus because it'll just be an advertisement for Prime. Sorry, that was my rant about business practices. Apologies.
No, I mean, you're absolutely right. You had it with sorry. So when the Astartes series came out, that ended up being, well, the poor guy got his channel hacked to shit and everything like that, which was very unfair. But eventually, he then got picked up, and Astartes now lives on Warhammer Prime and Warhammer Plus, which is great. And he's now working with Games Workshop to make a follow-up series. Brilliant. Now, what's really interesting about that is there was a second thing that was happening around about the same time, and it was a guy who was making a Horus Heresy set series, which it looked great.
Do you remember what it's called?
I can't.
Okay.
It's fallen out of my brain, like an era of darkness or something. I'd have to look it up. But if you look for CGI fan film Horus Heresy, you'll be able to find it.
Yeah.
It looks really, really nice. It's fucking unwatchable.
Why?
Right? There's nothing to it. There's nothing to it. It has this thing about this was made for the true fans of the Grimdark, which is an automatically turn off. If you start calling people true fans, then that just leads into all sorts of
who are you to
thoughts.
judge?
Yeah, I get fucked. Is this series going to be about Conrad the hero? It isn't. You're not a true fan then. Get fucked. Is this series going to be about the Deathwing short story where the Deathwing are all Native Americans and they're painting their armor white because they've killed a load of gene stealers? It isn't. You're not a fucking true fan. Yeah, that's, if I was that type of person, that's a Death of Hope. That was it. It was called Death of Hope. Obviously, I don't mean any of those things I've just said, but that, it'd be very easy, being someone who's been around this hobby since like 1988, 1989, that, there's stuff that has long gone, which I love and hold dear and still, go back to on a regular basis that a lot of people would never have heard of. But that's because I'm an old fucking man. So to call something a true fan, it's ridiculous. Death of Hope was beautifully shot. The animation and the designs and everything was gorgeous. But because it had no narrative to it, it was just a collection of things. It was unwatchable. It wasn't coherent. You were just watching pretty things on a screen. And if I was going to do that, I'd go off and watch a Pink Floyd video. Yeah. It really didn't work. But this guy, he shut the bed when all this came out. When the guy did Astartes, went over to Games Workshop, he absolutely shut the bed, blamed everybody, went off on a big tangent. And I think that is one of the reasons why Games Workshop are wary about bringing outside people in to do stuff. because there is such a an element of unpredictability to how people are going to react to things once it's out there, and then you have the creatives behind it. For this guy, I'm using the term lightly.
Well, isn't the best way to do it like a proper job application
Yeah,
rather than
Well, I
just
mean-
bring them in? You go,
Yeah,
okay, let's see you work, and then you make a
and
resume and all that.
and that's what's
stuff.
happened, and that is exactly what's happened with Interrogator, with Hammer and Bolter, with anything that's on Warhammer Plus. They are people who have applied, studios who have applied for the job, got the job, and have made the thing as a professional, a professional job. Whilst getting somebody from YouTube, you're playing with fire in a lot of ways because you don't know how that's going to end up being. If something like Death of Hope had been brought over to Warhammer Plus, you know that this guy would have had a equally horrible but different line of reaction to people, and it wouldn't have been good. It would not have been good at all.
I think a lot of it as well is if you, for instance, if you can produce beautiful work, and it's like any kind of film as well. You bring on a cinematographer who can produce stunning work, maybe works amazing with shadows and works well with natural light, or all these different artistic contributions that they can bring. But at the end of the day, when they come onto the project, as much as they like a light or a frame, it's not their choice at the end of the day.
No,
it's the directors. And in fact, in the modern Hollywood system, it's actually probably some back office producer sales guy in a building somewhere in Burbank. But if
you gotta have more LucasAid posters in the background. Yeah, more LucasAid.
If they can play that game, then great. If they realize that they are technically a cog in the machine, admittedly the machine is very shiny, but there's still a cog in the machine. If they can do that, great. But if they don't fit, and especially if they want to be the rebel, then unfortunately there's no place they don't fit. And and the problem is, unfortunately, I don't think that although the studios, and we see a lot of it these days with the big franchises and the way that IP is being handled. Well, you've had problems because a lot of the time it's salespeople that are the ones in charge. It's Steve Jobs did a whole thing about this, so I won't go into it too much. But the salespeople are the visible people. The salespeople tend to then get the promotions. So you end up with the people in charge of the company and not the people that make the thing. They're the people that promote the thing, which is why you then start having problems. But but whereas the studios are having all their problems at the moment, which everyone is aware of. GW are coming from it from a completely different background, so they're struggling to even understand the media and then develop it. And you've then got legal, and legal are probably taking a larger chunk of GW's influence in this than some of the studios. With studios it's sales and promotion. With GW it's IP and law. So it's a fascinating situation. So I realize we've gone right off tangent here.
No, it's interesting.
Yeah, it is. This is a good call. Right, let's get finished up because it's rather late. Two things for Necromunda. First of all, we've got some new squats coming out. They look fantastic. The new tank is wonderful. I hate the fact it's resin. I hate the fact it's all resin.
Oh, really?
But yeah, well, I don't actually. It doesn't actually say if the tank's resin, but
probably
the two guys are. The fact that you have some proper 1990s second ed 40k guys turning up. I love them. I love them to bits. I love the little robots that they've got with them. They are superb. They are like, oh god, look at the guy with his trash can pipe. He is great. I was going to go into more detail about these, but we're a lot later than I was expecting us to be. All in all, these are great. Does everyone agree?
Agree. Perfect.
Yeah. For squats, they're good. Yeah, I don't see why you'd be against these, apart from them being resin, this being expensive, this also being resin.
They need to be moved over to 40k at some point. Like there needs to be even if it's just a version of these made, you just included in a set or something as a bonus. They need to be. They're the line is relatively new. It needs expanding. Get these in the main line. But they look beautiful, and I love the little sort of kind of pets.
Wall-E-esque robots, really, aren't they?
Yeah, that's it. Actually, perfect. Wall-E, full of character.
Yeah, the fact that the little robot squad has as much character as they have makes me so happy. I love these guys. I love the fact that the Votan are modern 40k squats. How you do modern 40k squats? Necromunda's just got they're just fucking squats. They're just 90
No asking
squats.
about. Don't worry about it.
I love them. Also, the Vansar and the just the Vansar. Sorry, they've got some new stuff.
Oh, that's neat.
They are neat. They don't feel very 40k though, do they?
I mean, did the Vansars ever feel very 40k
No.
when we originally saw them, to be fair?
No, it's weird how far away the Vansars feel like they've moved from. They look more. The closest thing I can say is they look like a load of humans who got their hands on some Dark Eldar tech.
Kind of, I don't know why, getting a Dune vibe from the guys in the suits, at least.
Yeah, I can see that.
A little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Also, maybe if they were white, a bit Tau-esque, but they're the one faction I kind of wish that there was a big kind of like there was a lot more of them. Like they could field a small army, like
Tau or the Vansars here?
the Vansars, because they're so sort of ahead of like. It's weird because they're designed to be heavy tech and they're meant to be advanced, but you then have to pare that advanced stuff down because you don't want one single operative to crush every other enemy because they're too advanced. But these guys should be going up against bigger enemies and using that tech as a real positive. But
are you saying that you don't buy that these guys fight against just buff dudes or buff women with kind of crappy weapons?
Yes,
on an even playing field.
I've just never understood it. It's like these guys should be going up against like invading hordes of like chaos cultists.
Would you prefer these as like Inquisitor almost units, like for kill team specifically?
Yeah.
I'd be behind that.
Because I 100% agree with Mr. White that they, like I say, just beating up big men and big ladies and dogs, robot dogs, just they don't look like they look too strong. They look like they just wiped the floor with these just people.
Imagine these things up against the ash waste nomads.
Yeah, it feels bullying.
It does.
It's again bullying the poor.
They're just riding around on big ticks, and then this thing walks out.
Come on.
Dead or alive, you're coming with me.
Ed 209 versus Conan.
I will say though that one of the Vansars has the most prominent nipples I've ever seen on a fully clothed figure in my life.
It's a bit cold in Vansar today.
Yeah. Maybe they've got cyber nipples. Maybe they've had them enhanced. Yeah.
I mean, it's the picture of the big robot, the person next to the big robot. They've just got really prominent nipples, and it's proper Joel Schumacher Batman territory. It's weird.
I've just realised as well. It's a very slight nod, but there's a bit of Alien Queen from Aliens in that big robot. It's just the sloping top.
Do you remember the Aliens toy line?
Oh yes.
Right.
Yes.
Do you remember the robot alien, the decoy Alien Queen figure?
Apex? Oh, the
ginger
head dude? Yeah, I do. Yeah.
So that is what that is. I'm telling you right now. Somebody was looking at the Alien toy line from the 1990s.
Yeah.
And then finally we've got some kill team type things where we've got all the different guys and they're all going to come out as different things and more pits of gur. Yeah. Big mouths on the floor. Yeah, and you got the Droth Keepers, the guys I was talking about before, who are riding around on Magma Droths, and they've got little baby Magma Droths, and the most colourful Magma Droth I've ever seen in my life. I freaking love that thing in green.
Yeah, it's the first time I've ever seen like a Fire Slayers thing and gone, oh wow, looks really nice. I'm like, the dwarf just looks like a standard one, but like you say, the way they painted the dragon, like, oh, that's neat.
It looks like a Chinese dragon.
Yeah,
and it works really well for me. I like that as well. I like that a lot. So that is pretty much everything. I'm not going to get into all the different rules and things because we are way later than.
We don't have George here. It was the one because it would be me and Adam going, that sounds good, and you go, that's really cool. Okay, yeah, neat.
Also, it'd be 3 a.m.
That's usually when I stop streaming anyway. That's fine.
True.
I've got a child to get up with tomorrow, so no. So, with all that being said, then we will start wrapping things up. Andy,
That's me.
where will people find you if they wished to open a forgotten tome of ancient lore, to say such words of power, such words of mystery, to open up the magical box to see where you are?
I'm on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube as Decayed Andy, Rotten Corpse Person. Be streaming tomorrow at 10:15. Be playing more Lords of the Fallen with Bimble Snuff, my created character, the lovely pyromantic lady. Also do the Moonbase 2 podcast. Find Moonbase 2 podcast. Just type in Moonbase 2 Transformers podcast. You'll find us. We stream on or record on a Sunday at 8:00 in the evening UK time in this place and in others. And yeah, that's it for the most part.
Okay. Adam, if people wanted to lick you, where would you tell them to go? I'm sorry.
for that.
I've just read you can find Andy at the skate shop doing sick kickflips and ollies.
Is that big? Is that the Jack? That's the Jack that did that. You bastard.
Sorry, that cracked me up. Something rotten that did.
I suppose for me, really, the only I'm involved in bits at the moment, but the only thing I really take part in is just I take a lot of photos. So my Instagram's the main place that I do that. I post and you pick every day, and it's usually either street art or just like forgotten areas or discovered areas or ramshackled areas and stuff like that. And so I get a lot of pleasure out of that. So if you just search for my name, AD8M White on Instagram, and I'm there. I think I'm coming up to 2,000 pics on there now. So yeah, it's good. So yeah, I enjoy that.
I always like seeing your stuff. You've got a real nice way of taking photos of like corroded metal, and I can't explain why I like it.
Yes,
but I do.
Yeah. So it's weird as well. It's like years of sort of working in the film biz, and then it was actually one of my Instagram pictures that somebody bought off me once.
Oh, that's
it's nice to know that something I took on my little phone is actually hanging up in someone's like workshop at the moment, and they use it as reference.
Do you think it was they did it for that, or do you think they took it for like a texture map? Because they could have done it for that as well.
This was a rare one where it was actually of a person.
Okay.
And the situation, and he just loved it. So
that's great.
At the moment I put it up there. So, but most of the time I do it as a creative outlet, because at the moment I don't have a lot of options for creative outlets. No. So this is where I channel my work. So
I would suggest photoing Gruff. He is a great piece of muse. He works well. You know, it's like the Mona Lisa.
I'll see what I could do.
Mm-hmm. Make him beautiful.
Nobody's got that kind of talent.
Photo him like one of your French girls.
Exactly.
Oh la la, je suis une folle. Je suis une folle. As for myself, you can find the Fluffenhammer on Facebook, on Blue Sky, on Threads, on Instagram, on Twitter for now, on YouTube, and of course at thefluffenhammer.com, where every day a new article or an old article goes up. On weekends we put out the whole new stuff. On the weekdays we just go through the stuff that's already come out, but give it a nice little fresh shine and you can read it again. People always seem to get really excited when it comes to stuff like the heavy metal galleries, where I am scanning every single issue of White Dwarf that I've got from the beginning of the heavy metal article right through to the end. Oh my god, I am on issue 124 now. No, 112 I'm on, and I've only got another 300 to go.
That's not many.
Sometimes I wonder why I start doing this.
Blink and I'll be gone.
Yeah.
Also, every Saturday we put out a new video. At the moment, we are going through the Dawnbringer Crusade short stories. So I think we're up to episode 12 of that now. Last weekend, due to real life stuff, I wasn't able to get around to doing any editing. So we got the first 3 parts of the Underworlds series. So there's always something comes out on a Saturday. I have a backlog of stuff. So if there's ever a Saturday where I can't put out something new, you're going to get something you haven't heard before. So,
can I get something borrowed? Perhaps something blue.
You can get something real fucking blue. It's called hypothermia, you bastard.
Oh,
And all that being said, then, we are going to get out of here. Thank you so much for listening, if indeed you still are. Good night, everyone.
bye-bye.
Is it me or do you shimmer light? Come on over and let me give you a ride. Give me some fuel for the fire. I know we're perfect strangers, and I'm reaching out to you. We got to be together, but I haven't a clue how we beat up. I could need some of you. Straight up, there is nothing else I'd rather do. Sit tight, you may think it's in vain. We need to get back. We need to get back in the game. Oh yeah. There's a taste of you in every meal. There is something strange between you and me. Give me some fuel for the fire. I know we're perfect strangers, and I'm reaching out to you. We got to be together, but I haven't a clue how we beat up. I could need some of you. Straight up, there is nothing else I'd rather do. Sit tight, you may think it's in vain. We need to get back. We need to get back. Beat up, I could need some of you. Straight up, there is nothing else I'd rather do. Sit tight, you may think it's in vain. We need to get back. We need to get back in the game. Oh
Next time on the Fluffenhammer.
Hello there, Mr. Andy Chambers.
Hello there. Hello, my children.